They read it off a teleprompter line, same damn story every single time. Polished lies in a tailored suit. Call it truth, but it don't compute. They sell you fear with a sleight of hand, tell you what to think, what to understand. Every word's been pre-approved, a puppet dance with a hidden noose. They say don't look past what we show. Well, that's exactly where we go, where the devil's advocates were kicking the door. Drag the buried truth up off the floor. You can spin your lies, we ain't buying that. We see straight through it, yeah, we call it flat. They push that line with the paid actors. We tear it down, don't care who it shatters. If the system cracks, we expose the fractures. We're the devil's advocates, calling out those bastards. They push one line till it sounds like fact. Shut down anyone pushing back. If it don't fit, it gets buried deep, out of sight where the quiet won't sleep. Different faces, same damn script, same old narrative, tight-lipped grip. You ask one question, they call you insane. Funny how truth makes them shift the blame. They say don't dig too far below. Well, that's exactly where we go, where the devil's advocates, we kick in the door. Drag the buried truth up off the floor. You can spin your lies, we ain't buying that. We see straight through it, yeah, we call it flat. They push that lie with the paid actors. We tear it down, don't care who it shatters. If the system cracks, we expose the fractures. We're the devil's advocates, calling out those bastards.
Could I get a little help here, Captain?
Like the bad guys, truth cuts deep when it cuts ties. Twist the words, try to spin the facts. We don't scare, we don't backtrack. We ain't clean, we ain't polite. We drag dark into the light. If it burns, what you protect? That's the cost of respect. We're the devil's advocates, we kick in the door. Say it loud, yeah, we settle the score. You can drown us out, you can try your tactics. We're still right here, devil's advocates. Truth don't bend just cause you say. We don't break at the end of the day. If the system cracks, we expose the fractures. We're the devil's advocates, calling out those bastards.
All right. right, everybody, welcome to a F It Friday or Freaky Friday or Fucking Friday or whatever the hell Friday. It's Friday. Whatever way you slice it, I think it's Friday. Welcome to a Crimes After Dark on Friday. Thank you for joining us. Instead of going out to the bar tonight, and instead of hanging out with us, maybe that means you have no life. I don't know what the hell it means, but I think it's a good thing that you're here with us tonight. We've got Dago, we've got Robin, we've got Wan. We'll have, I think, JJ a little late tonight. For those who are used to our panel, you'll know that those names, but Dago's got True Crime Cafe. JJ has got his State of the Deep running. Robin, my co-producer, also launched a channel. Only one is hiding his secret YouTube channel from all of us. So, someday maybe he'll tell us what it is, but it's not. I will tell you, it's not true crime related. So whatever the case may be, let's bring our panel up on board, and I'm going to see if I can get everybody added here quickly. All right. What are you guys doing tonight?
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
I want to take off the parental advisory, parental discretion. Ooh, we got that echo back. Holy crap. Got the harsh echo. I do have some, by the way, I have some news to lead us off a little bit. Unless you guys want to talk a little bit about let's talk about, did you guys do anything special today? Let's get that out of the way real quick. Did you guys do anything special? No?
No.
I just went to a few dead bodies. That's all. Only a few.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's New York, I guess.
I watched 3 Lifetime movies. Where's that coming from?
The echo is horrible. Yeah.
What is?
We got a bad echo. All right. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So you watched 3 Lifetime shows. So you just kicked back and relaxed and
I was missing my wife, so I had to watch. I don't know what the hell
some kind of
that. It was weird.
Some kind of sappy.
Yes.
They
were so strange. It was weird. At one point I was in the middle of the second movie and I was like,
"What am I doing?
What the fuck? What am I doing? Like why?" And I was like, "Oh God, you gotta come home. You gotta come home."
That's hilarious. I get it.
It is what it is.
All right, let's do the monologue if you got one,
Sure.
and then I'll break into some of the news.
Of course. All right. Is it good to be alive in the den on a Friday
Always.
night?
Yeah, man.
Juliana Jackson and my beautiful wife. Love you guys. Welcome to Devil's Advocates, the podcast where truth is pursued relentlessly, corruption is exposed without hesitation, and the voices too often ignored are finally heard. In a world overflowing with misinformation, manipulation, and carefully crafted narratives, this platform stands as a challenge to the powerful and a beacon for those searching for answers. We are not here to entertain lies or protect reputations built on deception. We are here to ask the hard questions, follow the evidence wherever it leads, and confront the uncomfortable realities that too many would rather bury. The true crime community has become far more than a collection of listeners, creators, investigators, and survivors. It has evolved into a force capable of uncovering truths that institutions sometimes fail to pursue. Every independent researcher, every advocate for victims, every citizen demanding accountability contributes to a movement larger than any one podcast or personality. Together, we shine light into places where darkness has thrived far too long. But with that responsibility comes a challenge. Division, ego, misinformation, and infighting weaken the very mission we claim to support. Corruption flourishes when good people become fragmented. Lies gain power when truth seekers turn against one another instead of standing together. The systems that manipulate narratives depend on confusion, fear, and distraction. They benefit when independent voices compete instead of collaborate. That is why Devil's Advocates calls for unity within the true crime community. Not blind agreement, but collective determination. We can disagree while still respecting facts. We can debate theories without destroying credibility. We can demand accountability while refusing to become part of the chaos that corruption depends upon. The pursuit of truth requires integrity, discipline, and above all, solidarity. Victims and families deserve more than sensationalism. They deserve persistence. They deserve communities willing to keep asking questions long after headlines fade away. They deserve people courageous enough to challenge official narratives when evidence does not align with the story being sold to the public. And they deserve a united front against the lies that continue to protect the corrupt and silence the vulnerable. This podcast exists for those who refuse to look away, for those who believe truth still matters, for those willing to stand together against intimidation, manipulation, and injustice. Because exposing corruption is not the responsibility of one voice alone. It belongs to every person brave enough to demand honesty in a world built on spin. So, whether you are a survivor, an advocate, an investigator, a whistleblower, or simply someone searching for answers, you are not alone here. This is a place where questions are welcomed, truth is pursued, and silence is never mistaken for justice. This is Devil's Advocates, and we will not stop asking questions. And with that, live from New York, it's Friday night.
All righty. Well, it's good to kick this sucker off. Thank you for the thing. We got that echo back. That's what the heck is going on with the echo? I'm looking around.
It's me apparently. It's I don't know why my laptop has started doing this recently.
Yeah, it's just been the past few days, and it just is it's weird.
You have to put it on the floor and jump up and down on it 3 times, and that'll fix it.
Probably true. I just wanted to let you guys know this is kind of interesting, and I don't know if I'm making too big of a deal out of this or not. Somebody had sent me. They got inspired to try to start a GoFundMe account to raise money for Koberger's possible defense or appellate attorney or whatever. And GoFundMe shut them down immediately and said, and this is the part that I want to say it in my own words, you are not allowed to raise funds for a legal defense for violent crimes or financial crimes. So apparently GoFundMe has decided if you've been accused of violent crimes or financial crime, you don't deserve anybody giving you support just from being accused. So you are not allowed to raise funds for the defense of somebody accused of violent crimes. So that is something that's super weird. Like,
wow.
do you believe in our justice system or not, that you can't raise funds for accused?
Yeah,
that you're automatically guilty if they're accused.
It's bullshit. I sent it back to her and said, reword it and send it out, set it up to support Michael and Mary Ann's health issues that they've been having, to help them with that in that terms, and they should let it go through.
Yes.
But it's bullshit. Which you're making a good point. It's absolute bullshit.
It's crazy.
Maybe because he was convicted already, but if he wouldn't, they do the same thing even before conviction. So again,
right. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a systemic problem we have in this country, where people act like if you've been accused, you must be guilty because they wouldn't have accused you if you didn't do it. Like, we've got too many dumb people, I feel, that have the attitude of, well, they don't arrest people who didn't do things. So if you get arrested, that means you did it.
Like, exactly.
You know how many people think that, dude? That is so insane. People, he would have been arrested if he didn't do it. Walk away from me right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. How the hell did Dylan get the? I think the GoFundMe for Dylan did get shut down though, and it was
eventually. But after she made $118,000.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, yeah.
Did they return the funds to the people who donated, or did they give her the funds?
I think they gave it to her. I think hers got shut down because it went over the amount that they asked for.
Okay.
And I heard that if you go so far out past the amount that you're actually setting it up for, eventually it gets shut down. I don't know. It's. She needed that to start her life over. Okay, yeah.
I didn't read what her funds were for. Like, how did she get so many?
That's what it was for.
I have a big problem.
Get her life back together. Okay.
I have a big problem with it. Go ahead, Dago.
It was to get the to be able to start her get a fresh start on her life, basically. So on and so forth, and healing.
That is bullshit.
Healing.
It is bullshit, though. It's bullshit because she gets funded. She gets funds through the court. If you go back and you look, she's considered. I don't consider her, but it doesn't really matter what I say, right?
Trauma.
She is considered a victim by the court, and under that, whatever I forget the exact term, but she's entitled to get funding to help her move. She's entitled to get therapy. She's entitled, so she's already getting money. She's already getting victim funding. Like, what else does she want?
Sons of bitches.
Absolutely. This
is
crazy.
ridiculous. Yes.
See, that's a different thing too. Moonlight says my sister did a GoFundMe for us when my hubby had a stroke and funds. Yeah. See, that's a different thing, but this is just victims compensation fund is where that came from, right?
Thank you, Tomboy, my birthday buddy.
Yeah, she asked for 90,000 and she got like, I think it was 118,000 or something like that, and
That sounds
then it
right,
was
yeah.
cut down. So
Yeah.
I hope you're healing.
Yeah, I didn't hear if they shut it down because of any particular reason. I thought I always assumed they shut it down because they thought it was inappropriate at some point, but maybe not.
115. Thank you, Rhonda. I knew it was something like that. But yeah, still 115,882 because you lied. Okay.
BK aside, so Kim Match says, BK aside, do you all feel like this will be investigated for the true perps? Do you think there will be enough untainted evidence left to investigate?
No,
I don't think so.
They tore the house down. They tore the house down. The house, even if they, what we've covered multiple times, we've said it a few times. So, and just again, I don't think people realize how much evidence is not even brought to court, not even brought to the light, to look at. And they wanted to get rid of that house. I can just imagine how much. There's probably a crazy amount of evidence that was left in the house. We're just going by like the pictures we saw and the stuff. There's a ton of stuff, and it's gone.
They were gonna leave Dylan's bed in that house, and when they tore it down, it was still in there at some point. Kim had told me they were just gonna leave that in there when they tore it down, and something happened, and they ended up pulling it out of there and taking it to the warehouse they have everything in. But that makes you wonder, how much other shit did they leave in there?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Sad.
Yeah, I'm going to go a step further and to say the best case scenario, I think the best case scenario is Kohberger could be exonerated if it's proven that he couldn't have done it. But I don't think anybody will then be prosecuted for it.
No,
no. Because I think the same reasons why they didn't want to go after anybody other than him is the same reason why they won't go after anybody other than him. So I agree with you. I don't believe that they'll go after anybody else.
I agree with Lee 100%. If this is actually, if Kohberger is like whatever it is, he's a true like patsy, and whatever the reason is that they blamed him, and he's not working with the FBI or whatever 3-letter group, and he really is like just getting the blame for this and shouldn't be. I agree. I don't think that unfortunately, and I feel bad. I really do feel bad for the families. I know a lot of times we evaluate some of the stuff and we attack Steve G, and they still lost their child. They still lost their kid.
Yep.
So even though I may say, oh, why Steve G said this, or his mother said this, and this person said that, it's still their family member. It's still a sister, a daughter, a son, it's still their family. And
I agree.
I unfortunately, I mean, with the stuff that looks like it's coming forward, I think it's all this exculpatory evidence, may eventually be forced to get BK out or something, or a new trial or whatever. But that doesn't mean we're going to actually get the truth as to what happened, which is sad. It really is.
I don't believe that the people that actually did this will ever, unless somebody comes forward and says it was this one, and this one. That's the only way we'll ever find that out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They'll never put the money in to investigate it ever.
No.
Ever, in my opinion. Like Lee said, I think the only thing that will happen is if they can exonerate Brian and all that, that'll be that, and then it'll just be that's it, moving on. Which is very sad.
It is. And yet we say all the time, one of the things that bothers us is that having it go down as Kohberger did it, and only that means people are walking free that committed murder. But we're also kind of making it sound like we think that even if they do somehow prove that it wasn't him alone, that we don't believe that the right people are going to ever be put away for it. So then what does it leave you? It leaves you, if somebody who's mad enough about it wants to carry out vigilante justice, which I'm not promoting at all, but that's the only thing that's ever going to have a possibility, because you'll never, I don't know that they'll ever have their day in court ever. So it makes you wonder what is the justice if the people who did it just get to walk scot-free. But
I don't think necessarily that it may not be a technicality. It could be like, but the more and more, I mean, as we evaluate every year, every kind of night, every night we keep talking about it. I mean, pretty much all the evidence, so-called evidence, I don't really call it, I call it horse shit, basically. In the PCA, it's all nonsense. You got the trifecta, right? We got DNA in a knife sheath that I agree is not even Kohberger's DNA. It's some manipulation by some lab, that whatever the fuckery they did. You have a white Elantra that is not BK's, and you have a cell phone data, which we don't know the full story yet because we haven't got to hear from Cy Ray all of his analysis, but we pretty much can determine that his phone probably did not turn off, that it just disconnected from the network, again, as proven by boots on the ground by Lee and JJ. It was
a handoff.
Went there.
I believe that was
there is nothing. So you have a clump of hair in Ethan's hand that doesn't match BK. It's not debris, it's hair. So we know it's not Ethan's hair, and it doesn't, it's not anyone that's in the house. That would make me think it's one of the perpetrators. All of this is exculpatory evidence. So to me, that's not really a technicality. It's there's like solid exculpatory evidence.
Yeah. Nanny Gallegos, I'm pretty upset right now that there's people knocking Dr. Turvey so much. I had to ask the creator which law enforcement he's working for.
Yes, this is why, if you heard my introduction, that's part. I didn't mention Turvey by name, but there's
a lot of division.
Sense, listen, I have no problem with anyone, and like what we do on here. Listen, sometimes we say stuff on here, and Lee or who says himself, well, he challenges it. I mean, the name of our show is called Devil's Advocates. Yeah. There's no problem with challenging what you have, especially if you have a receipt to back something up. Sometimes still it's worth challenging. Maybe there's a different perspective, or there's a different way of looking at that receipt or what you have. But to completely try to discredit someone and all this nonsense that's going on, it as I said, we need to be united. We need a united front. Division does not help us.
Mitchell Callahan said, suggest Turvey ignored the evidence and follows the Dateline narrative. I will say this, as a kind of a preview. Today, we, the Custody Queens and I, so Sam, Kristen, and Ron from the Custody Queens, did a pre-recorded show of us talking for 2 hours about Turvey and Whitcomb's book. And we talked a lot about the timeline and the fact that neither Whitcomb nor Turvey seem to want to discuss an alternate timeline. So we did talk about that in detail. That should be premiered in a couple days. The Custody Queens are going to let me know when it'll be premiered and let you know if you want to hear our discussion. Yeah, we did talk about that in particular about. And it's a great, what seems to be,
and it's and that's a great. I can't wait to see that. And that, as we said, I think the last few nights it's been brought up and we spoke about it. I would challenge Turvey immediately. Or Chris saying that, the timeline doesn't matter. It's not important. That's horseshit. It absolutely that matters. So he didn't say the timeline doesn't matter, but what he said is Turvey was paying more attention, I guess, to the chain of custody and to some other. That's what he was focused on. But I can't believe that if we were to ask Turvey just a specific question and say, you don't think the timeline matters? I can't see Turvey at his, of his knowledge and saying the timeline doesn't matter at all. I just can't see it.
And like I said, we had some opinions about why he said what he did. Mitchell Callahan's comment here, I want to challenge it a little bit because it's a question that I have. So Mitchell Callahan says Turvey said the hair wasn't tested. That's not true. He did say it was tested.
Yes, he did.
He says, yes, it was. I've seen the documents. It was microscopic, not macroscopic, Turvey claims. So that I'm really challenging you because Turvey did say the hair was sent to the FBI and it was tested macroscopically for hair and color.
He was very clear.
So it sounds like you're saying you've seen the documents and you think he's a liar and that it was the opposite.
Where's the doc?
Microscopically, like
where's the document?
If that's what you're saying, I would like to see it because I don't. Yeah. I agree. I believe it was macroscopically tested for hair and color only.
The only thing they tested it against.
I need to see it.
Yeah, true. Same here. I want to see that because I've never seen it. The only thing they tested it against besides the macroscopic testing was Brian Koberger to make sure it wasn't his. That was it.
Mitchell Callahan is sticking to his guns. The documents say microscopic. So if you can find that, please give it to us so we can put it on screen and talk about it. I would love that.
I'll put Amanda on task. Amanda.
Pav has it on his channel.
Can you find the thing about that?
So Pavarotti's the one. So this makes sense because I've heard that Pavarotti is shitting all over Dr. Turvey and calling him a liar. So if Pavarotti is the one putting it out there that Turvey lied about shit, then I need to see it because this is the second time now someone's told me, Pavarotti's completely proven Dr. Turvey's a fucking liar and is completely saying shit. So if it came from Pav, and Pav is a receipts kind of guy, so if Pav showed the document to everybody, it sounds like that's what you're saying. Pav showed the document that Turvey's lying. So if that's the case, I'd like to see it. I would like to see it.
I got it right here. Hold on.
Microscopic testing is basically only comparison testing. It's not DNA using testing and mitochondrial testing if there's no root. We did microscopic testing in school. It's very surface level. Okay.
All right, here you go, Lee. It's backstage or Robin, whoever.
Oops, let me remove this and add this.
Travis Shirley. Let me make sure you guys can see it.
I was gonna say, could you guys blow it up a little bit?
Yeah, that's the sheet. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Oh, maybe not. A little bit bigger. Go with that. Hopefully that's big enough. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway. Should I just let it play, the video play and him talk, or do you just want me to scan through and look at the document?
If you're fairly confident that he talks about it, happens pretty quick, yeah, well, let's listen to him say it.
All right. Hold on.
That they obviously didn't even have access to. She put it in the Franks filing, and they didn't even see this report, which is crazy. But when you go down through here, you're going to see that they go through the hair.
All right. Well, right there, head hair samples from Ethan, debris from right hand of Ethan, head hair samples from Kaylee. I'll be damned. I remember that. Okay, I'll let it play. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Hair and fibers, the trace samples in the case. And you'll see that right here, item number 3, guess what? Is debris from right hand of Ethan Chapin. So when he talks about them listing it as debris, he's letting us in on the fact that it's not debris, it's actually hair. So I do appreciate him for that. But as you go down through here, he made other statements like it was only macro tested, not micro tested, and all this kind of bull crap. Well, guess what? Methods used by the FBI to examine it. Microscopic examination of hairs is accomplished by using stereo microscopy and comparison microscopy. The presence or absence, appearance, and arrangement, distribution of characteristics within the cuticle cortex and medulla of the hairs are examined, may be compared during hair examination. It goes through and it tells you they did microscopic examinations. It never says that there's anything about roots for them to test. So what Turvey is suggesting as he talks about this evidence and just inflates it is ridiculous. But one thing is for sure, right? Item number 3, the debris from right hand of Ethan Chapin. So he's got somebody's hair in his right hand. Results of examination. Item submitted from Ethan Chapin. Number 3. Were examined for hairs microscopically consistent with hairs in the head hair sample from Brian Christopher Kohberger. However, none were found. Kohberger was excluded.
Yeah.
That Kohberger was excluded.
We
knew that, but they didn't test it against anybody else. That's the problem.
Right.
For the DNA of it.
And the wording is apparently
the
wrong,
wording
right?
is a little
I,
off.
I believe he said it was only macroscopically, and that's saying microscopically.
There it is. Right.
The bloody roots, however, wasn't Ethan Chapin's. That was the hair that was supposed to be up in Maddie and Kaylee's bedroom. So did it say that hair was not tested, or not? Did I wasn't clear with that. It said they tested that hair.
It doesn't say any. Turvey didn't say he knew anything about that hair at all. He said he didn't know about it. So
now to split hairs,
right?
Sorry, to split hairs. While he may have used the incorrect terminology macro versus micro, it doesn't sound like the microscopy is DNA testing. It was still essentially. So this is what I'm going to say, and you can say I'm just fucking supporting Turvey, whatever. The point being is that the gist of what he said was it was tested for color and type only.
Yeah.
So if that's called microscopic analysis for color and type,
so he used the wrong word.
So he used the wrong word, macro instead of micro. But it wasn't DNA testing. I don't see DNA testing there.
Right.
There wasn't any, and that's January 27th of 23 for those that were asking the date on it.
But it's a good catch. It's a good catch.
It is, and it's good to know that it was. We knew it was tested against Kohberger. They said that. Him and Chris both said that.
Right.
Yep.
And then, but it doesn't. They didn't test it against any other DNA. Okay, they didn't.
Right.
That's the problem that we've always said.
I need to make a correction because people keep busting my nuts about it. So I made a statement the other night. So this is apparently a night where I have to eat a lot of shit. So apparently the macroscopic thing wasn't true, right? But I said that the hair wasn't Brian Kohberger or anybody else's in the house. And several people said, you're a fucking liar. No one ever tested it against anybody else in the house. And so you're a liar. They never said that. And so sure enough, it doesn't say they tested the hair versus other people in the house. It just, that document there only says that they excluded Kohberger. So my bad for saying that it didn't match Kohberger or anyone else in the house, because maybe they didn't test it versus anybody else in the house.
Well, and
Turvey, go ahead.
Here's another question I have, okay? Because I do remember this document now. And it also says head hair sample from Kaylee, head hair sample from Xana, debris from the left hand of Xana. Did Xana have hair in her hand too? Because it says debris. We don't know. It just says debris. So is it possible that was there? There's multiple things in here. I forgot all about this shit. So, okay, some of the wording was off, yes, but all in all, it's still the same thing. You know what I mean? I get what Paul was saying, and I respect that, but it's still, there's still no other DNA tested against it. That's all I'm saying.
Are you going to try to, so Joe the British one says, are you going to try to get Turvey on as your Chris interview was great? No, I mean, yes. I reached out to Turvey and Turvey has not responded at all.
Same here.
I did hear Turvey say in his interview with the Queens, something to the effect of so-and-so reached out to me, not us, but so-and-so reached out and I'm not going to answer that. So he's the kind of guy that doesn't answer you if he's not interested. Right. So I take the fact that he didn't answer me as he's not interested. And I would guess that he made it. So Turvey's gone on with several attorneys, and he's made it clear that I like going on with attorneys. But he also kind of badmouth YouTubers as people who just like to masturbate over timelines and things that don't matter. So I suspect, just reading, and this doesn't change my opinion of Dr. Turvey. I think Dr. Turvey's great, and what he's done is great. But I don't think he views going on a YouTube channel guy like me as something he's interested in. So that's not going to happen.
He seems to love law enforcement. Maybe I'll send him. Email.
He did another interview with Fox. It was a shorter one, but he did drop a couple new nuggets on that interview that were a little different. But that's all he's going to do, in my opinion. He's not going to. I think he even told Birdie that, according to what Birdie said, that he doesn't do interviews and stuff like that. So be it. We reached out to him too. No answer. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
be
and
it.
so and it's fine. I don't take that too terribly personally. Honestly, I don't take it
Right.
too
I don't
personally.
either.
You know, it is what it is.
Maybe I'll send him an email from my work email.
There you go.
I'll
There you
use
go.
my work
Yeah.
He'd
email.
Well, that's
really
what-
respond to that.
It's funny that it's funny you mentioned that, because when I was talking to the Queens today about how they got him, he said, "Well, I did send my invitation to him on company letterhead, kind of thing." So he made it clear they're an attorney's office that was asking, and that may have gotten his attention. So yeah, so it may matter where it's coming from.
Right.
If they
Well,
won't
you
further,
got to get an NYPD letterhead together on one. Send
if they won't further investigate, then why do we care if the hair is tested? If the point is excluding BK from it being his, then that's done, right? Yeah, that particular report we just looked at said the hair wasn't Brian Koberger's. End of story.
Because if it's identifiable through somebody else, that could point to who one of the actual killers is. That's why it's still kind of important to have it tested, in my opinion. Maybe I could get Myers to do it. We're pretty close with Myers. That's a good point. I never thought of that.
Yeah, Myers might be able to get Turvey.
Might be able to do that.
I want to hear Lee and Turvey curse. Yeah, that both of us are pretty. But Turvey caught my attention when he several times said things pretty fucking bluntly, and I'm like, that guy is my kind of guy. Like I could get along with that. Although I think he rubs a lot of people the wrong way. You have to have a thick skin when you talk to that guy, because at any given time he can insult you and not think twice about it.
Yeah, you're a captain with the LE. He might do that, or if I can talk to Andrew and see if Andrew would be interested.
Yeah, I don't think he would do it on my channel though. So you're gonna have to like open up a new YouTube channel if you want to interview Dr. Turvey.
We would, yeah. Well, even if it wasn't live, whatever. If we were able to
NYPD, yes.
Senior Wiskowski says, if someone has knowledge of evidence that would exonerate a guilty person, come straight out with the info. Don't come with the cloak and dagger planting that this is what this true crime needs to look into. There's a little bit of broken sentence, but I get your gist. Yeah, and this is what bothers me so much. If the case is so simple, cut and dry as what it is, why is there still so much effing secrecy on this? And why are people being shamed for talking about the case if it was exactly what they told us it was? It makes no sense, other than it isn't what they told you it was, which is why everybody's so pissed off that people are talking. Never heard of Waterstones. What are the Waterstones? I didn't hear about that either. What's the context on that? Someone says they like Pa, but they don't agree with his opinion on Turvey. Yeah, I mean, all I've heard is the same thing that I said at the beginning, which is I've heard that that Pavarotti is shitting all over Dr. Turvey and saying that he's a kook and can't be trusted and whatever. And I haven't heard it enough with my own ear to make too much of conclusions about that. Alicia JLA, he doesn't care about feelings. He is talking on facts. You have to be able to handle that. Yes, and in fact, that is to steal a little bit of the thunder of the custody queens and I. One of the reasons why we think he didn't talk about the timeline and some other things is it's not his concern. He doesn't give a shit about anything about except for the parts that he was hired to talk about. Right. I think his point is. It's not my job to tell you who did this murder or to try to figure out who did the murder. All I'm telling you is it wasn't one man in the kitchen with a candlestick.
Right.
And he's trying to break down.
But then I can counter that though. But then the counter argument to that is Robin's favorite line: "Words matter."
Yes.
So I understand that he's a smart guy and he can be sarcastic and he meant this and he meant that, but not everyone may pick up on that. And
you have to have a special kind of character to be able to deal with a Dr. Turvey.
Yes,
he's pretty blunt.
I told you every video I watch, he spends half the video attacking law enforcement. But yet I still like him.
Mark and Betty says, if Ethan was found on his stomach, how did he pull someone's hair out? Apparently he was asleep. This is something we talked about last time. Same exact thing. It was clear that the narrative that Turvey believes happened, and even Christopher Wicker believes happened, is that he was rolling over and therefore would have grabbed hair on the way by. So I don't know why that's hard to understand.
He didn't start on his stomach.
That he didn't start on his stomach. He may have ended up on that position, but that's not how it started.
And he could have been.
No, and you have to remember, Ethan was tall.
Yeah,
he had long arms. So he was able to reach out and grab somebody's hair, I'm sure, even if they were a certain distance from him.
Yeah.
So
and a good point.
I mean,
right.
You know.
And a good point with that.
And
What goes along exactly what you're saying. Remember, one of the most, like, if you're gonna go after someone with a knife, you usually get in close. It's usually a
Right.
very close hit.
It's close combat.
Or the
Right.
machete. Don't forget the machete.
Right.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're backtracking a little bit. Somebody's again asking the question: how could he be asleep if he pulled someone's hair out? Again,
He couldn't have.
He was
couldn't have.
attacked while asleep. That was the theory.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's not even necessarily
He
the
woke
truth.
up.
It's just, that was his theory.
Right.
But he was attacked at first. The attack started when he was asleep. That doesn't mean he stayed asleep. It doesn't mean he never changed positions. He could have been attacked and then woke up and started to fight back. I don't know why that's like. It seems like people are quite. Well, how could he possibly?
Yeah.
How could he possibly have hair if he was
Have you
sleeping?
guys
Well,
have you
if
guys
somebody
never been
stabbed
woken
me,
up?
I'd
Attack
fight
took
back.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, have
wake
you
them
guys
up.
never been woken up by something? Like, think about like a very
They were-
extremely loud noise or something. I mean, it's not like, unless you're like immediately stabbed in the heart or it's like some crazy thing, you know?
That's some Dexter shit, right? They were
Yeah.
stated that every one of them had some form of a defensive wound. Okay,
Yeah.
so if
Right.
that's the case, you got to be awake to fight back a little bit, in my opinion, and I believe that's what it was. So, I think, and there was also that. Remember, they had talked about how they said he started off on he was on his right arm, propped up on his elbow, or something.
like he had his hand on his head. Yes, right. I remember hearing that in the thing.
Exactly, and then he ended up on his stomach after he passed, and with his head and his arm between the wall and the bed. So, what's up, Sarge? Good to see you. I know Sarge thinks and
It's a
has
good
thought for
question.
years that the knife sheath may have belonged
It's funny.
to one Maddie or
Yeah.
Kaylee.
I actually
So-
heard it belonged to Maddie, but same kind of idea. It could be either one. But we spoke about this.
It makes
like a
sense.
few months ago.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. That
Right.
it's very believable. You know, I don't know whatever, you know, if any of the girls were doing OnlyFans or not or whatever. Besides from that and the weird clientele they could be, but just going, even if they weren't doing that, just going out, you know, just that age, going to clubs and going to bars or whatever. People
don't
want to
forget,
protect themselves.
Kaylee had talked about there was the stalker at the grocery store. There was the people on the tree line that she's seeing shadows and this and that. So why would it be hard to think that she could have got this thing from somebody, maybe even brought it with her from home when she came back that Friday for protection, and it was turned around and used against them, period.
Exactly. I think there's a good chance of that.
Very good chance.
Highly
yes.
believable. I mean, I'm sure a lot of girls at college, whatever, have some kind of knife or something.
I know my kids would have. Both my girls had knives. Period.
It's not surprising.
So, not even close. So yeah, so I always agreed with Sarge on that when he brought that up.
Yeah.
Why was the car movement important, but not the SUV? Why, if a car was used, did the find foot tracks leading from Westinghouse towards King Road? Sarge, you're just going to need to start coming back on my panel and talking again, dude. It's been too long anyway. I know you're retired now, but come on.
Why, if a car was used, did the find foot
I don't know
tracks
that I
on-
understand that.
Yeah, it was a little bit broken.
Yeah, maybe you can reword that and we'll put it back up.
I didn't quite understand. I don't think we understood what you were saying, Sarge. Reword it.
Yeah, and some people are confused about not seeing Sarge in our chat. So yes, there are two chats combined, and so on just so that people understand, because it's important sometimes for you to understand. We on the panel see both streams chat combined, and we can even tell if we're looking at the right things whose chat it's coming from. But unfortunately, you, depending on which stream you're watching, whether you're watching Dago's side or mine, will not see the other person's chat. So if you're on Dago's side, you're not seeing our chat, and vice versa. We, however, on the panel get to see both chats together.
Are you guys doing any bringing anybody up tonight? Because he said link me. You guys would get to meet him, and
send a link out. Send a link.
he's always got a very interesting insight. He's rough around the edges, but Sarge is awesome. I love him.
We love having guests.
Throw it in the back chat, and I'll put it on my side, and you can come up that way, Sarge.
Just no nudie pictures.
You ain't gonna get that from him.
I mean, if I have a few more drinks, that'll be all right. But...
I don't.
Just kidding. Kidding.
Sarge is awesome. All right, hold on. Let me drop it over here. And it's in chat, Sarge. You guys haven't got to meet him. He retired, shut his business down that he was running, and has been living the life. And he backed away when Brian took the plea, because Sarge was all about the way the investigation was handled. He didn't give two shits if it was Brian or not Brian. He didn't think he was guilty or innocent. It's about the unconstitutional investigation or their lack of. So.
Right.
It's been
I've said a similar thing in the beginning. I don't have a dog in the fight. It's not a matter of whether Kohberger did or didn't do it. What I can tell you is it didn't happen the way they said it did, and that's what bothers me.
Absolutely. Come on up, boss. It's been a minute.
Which doesn't make everybody happy, because we do have people who clearly believe it's absolutely positively cannot be Kohberger. And I think, to be fair, I do think that what Turvey said.
I love it. I love the
no
name.
Evidence places no evidence places Kohberger in the house, and all arrows point away from him. So that's something to consider too. But yeah, let's bring Sarge up. Let's see here.
Sergeant Friday.
Is he here?
Sergeant,
he's here. I'm here.
What is happening? What is up, brother?
Welcome, Sarge.
I've been living the charmed life. You know me.
Semi-charmed kind of life.
And I love life.
Steak every night, or steak and ribs every night, whatever.
Well, a mixture. I had not today. I had eggs, but normally I eat good hearty ribs and pork chops and ham and steak and
nice.
Definitely a carnivore. Yeah,
man.
Sounds like you're following keto.
No. You just eat like that, then you jump in your high horsepower race car and you drive around town and come back and have ice cream.
You guys are gonna love him. I'm telling you right now.
It's starting out very well, sir. It's
advertising my phone's location in case they want to do a Kohberger on me. I got him by the balls.
Yeah. Sarge is a good friend of our channels. He's a good friend of mine. I consider him too. And meet everybody here, Sarge. It's been a while. It's great to have you back and hear you again. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I've been peeking around. I don't really got any interest in following it until just recently. I mean, I like I said, I peeked in and out. There was no doubt this whole case. Oh, and little Eddie, if you see Eddie, tell Eddie I finally agree with him that this was a setup.
I get it. I get it.
Right. I wouldn't agree with him during the process of this because there was no evidence to support that conclusion.
Right.
Even though it turns out I agree, I believe he's correct. I still wouldn't support it because there wasn't evidence during the process up until even at the plea.
Yeah.
Right. Like what we all now know is like, it's staggering. It's
definitely.
Right?
And yes, Kenny, that's exactly where he's from. The accent tells it all, 100%.
And also, I was the first one to go after Dylan, and I got shut down by all the streamers out here.
He did.
I was going after Dylan in 2023, February, March, April. Yeah, no one wanted to hear it.
It was taboo back then.
But why? She always tells the truth. She always gives the answer.
She's a great eyewitness.
You and one are kind of neighbors, Sarge. He's from he works with NYPD, so.
Oh, does he? Well, she tells the truth, I suppose. I guess to herself, maybe.
Right.
Her truth.
Yeah, it's a tragedy what happened here. The tragedy is that, there's a few things that the expert said there. I forget his name, Brent
Turvey. Yeah, Dr. Turvey.
One thing he said, and I couldn't believe he said it because I've been saying this for years. You can't believe in the information at all.
Right.
The information speaks for itself. If there's a fact to show someone else was in that house, that fact makes that statement. It's not a matter of whether you believe he did it or didn't do it.
Right.
You can't believe anything.
Right.
Believe in God. That's it.
Yeah. He's like, I don't have beliefs. I'm looking at the facts.
I really love when he said that. I've been trying to point it out for years.
Right. 100%. People's even if they are legitimate witnesses and they're not trying to do anything, fugazi or corrupt, witness testimony is wrong many times. They get
more
stuff
times
wrong.
than not.
Colors of clothes, all kinds of stuff they get wrong, and they may not. And like I said, it might not even be that they're corrupt or any fuckery. They just get things wrong, or things are shoved down their throat because the police want them to go a certain way and they keep leading them a certain way, but the physical evidence does not lie.
What do you
The evidence is the evidence.
Remember when I first got involved with Dagos, I said what they should have done originally, Ann Taylor should have subpoenaed the records from the evidence lockers of the two departments investigating it to look for any K-bar knife and to see if it's still there.
God, that would be a ballsy move.
Yes.
That would be a ballsy move.
Why would that be a ballsy move? It was either that or it had to belong to one of those young women.
Yeah,
that's a good point. It is.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
what
and
they
you
do
also
to defend themselves. They carry knives. They don't carry guns.
You also brought up the point that when they did, if I remember correctly, and I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but when they served the warrant on Brian's parents' house, one of the knives that was on the list was non-specified. It just said knife.
Yeah.
And Sarge said that if Brian did purchase this knife off of Amazon, that he believes that was probably that knife, and it was listed as unspecified. And I thought still thinking like that's a hell of a point to make, because it doesn't. The other knives that were on that list were specified as a specific knife. That one wasn't. It just said knife.
There were 3 knives on there. One was like a folding knife of some sort. One came with a sheath, like a scaling knife.
Yeah.
And then they had another one listed as just knife. It wasn't a butter knife or a steak knife or just knife. And that to me was suspicious, because why wasn't that knife identified? Because every knife is identifiable for a specific purpose. Perry knife.
And if that's the case, that knife was, exactly. Kershaw was the one knife. And the other one, and that made the point, was that the knife is at his parents' house. He never took it there. If that's the knife, there in turn, it wasn't his. So it was a good point. I remember that.
I also was upset that Ann never took the preliminary hearing. You've got 21 days to a preliminary hearing, unless the circumstances are extreme or you agree. And I don't know why she would have agreed to extend that, because what they then did is they went and indicted the kid.
Right.
Where a preliminary hearing is the most important moment in any prosecution for the accused. It's the only time you could force the defense, or I'm sorry, the prosecution to put their cards on the table. It's the only time that you can do that.
Right.
Immediately with what they call that preliminary hearing. They have to show probable cause as to why they're accusing you of these murders. And it has to stand up to reasonable. I mean, it's got to be a reasonable thing. Not, I believe he turned his phone off. Well, I believe I slept with your wife. What was her name again?
Right. And here's the thing, like with that scenario in itself, come to find out, they didn't even believe when they did the grand jury thing, Sarge, I don't know if you saw this, they didn't even believe Dylan's story. I think at some point there was talk that they were interested in indicting her at some point. Not that
and there's more evidence to support Dylan Mortensen was involved in this crime than there is Brian Koberger.
Way more.
Whether she is involved or not, I'm not taking one side or other, but I'm saying evidentiary wise, at the crime scene wise, yeah, absolutely more evidence to support her involvement.
100%.
Kathy's Indie Zone says, imagine a month from now, Judge Marshall orders Moscow to turn over the Koberger files to EWU. EWU is having none of Moscow's delay tactics.
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be super interesting. I mean, we got multiple lawsuits that are on the periphery of this now. The EWU lawsuits, the WSU lawsuit. I feel like there's more lawsuits that are going to probably be coming on this. So it's going to be interesting to see what shakes out on the other lawsuits that are attached to this. Yeah,
I'll tell you the one thing that ruins Ann Taylor is the fact that she allowed Brian Koberger to plead guilty without objection from counsel, without making it clear that this is, as counsel, I object. However, my client has decided to plead guilty.
Yeah.
By not making that move, she left her butt open in the wind, and she is a pretty big butt anyway. So
fair.
Can she do that though on a plea?
Yeah, against counsel's advice. I've
heard things like that before. Yeah, I've heard statements like that before. Against my advice, my client has decided to do this or something like that.
Yeah.
But interesting statement, because I mean, I've always hammered that Ann Taylor was forced to say certain things in the positive. Did you have plenty of time to review the discovery, for example? And she said yes, even though I believe Hippler smirked when he asked her that. I believe she rolled her eyes. I was there in the courtroom and it happened, and I was like, oh my God, like literally they both are like, you know that you're lying when you say you've had enough time for the discovery. You just told him a week ago you didn't have time to review the discovery, but now you're saying yes. And I always said it's because she has to agree to every part of that plea deal, or the plea deal's off. So then it makes me wonder, can she have said, against my advice, my client's accepting a plea deal kind of thing? Because did she have to say, yeah, we both agree, or could she have done something like that and said, against my advice, my client decided to take a plea or something? I don't know. But I don't think it was against her advice. That's the thing. I don't think it was against her advice. I think Aunt Taylor allowed it.
Here's something else that's bad for her. The plea deal came shortly after the document dump, right?
Yeah.
But that document dump didn't exist when she was arguing alternative perps.
Yeah.
Okay. So now when the document dump comes out, and if this Turvey is accurate, all of these little details, the coat with Dylan's blood on it, the broken, whatever that sensei lamp is in the first floor bedroom that was supposed to be in the living room, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They found the actual shoe that made that print. I don't know if you heard him say that in the book. Okay.
I heard about the croc. I don't know if they're saying the croc is the same one.
The print outside of Dylan's bedroom door, the shoe that would have made it was found in the house.
Is that in the book?
That's in the book. Yeah. Do you happen to know? I got the book in front of me.
It's absolutely in the book.
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, I know. I read the book 4 times to make sure I caught every the nuances that he was saying. And
do you remember where that was, Sarge, in the book?
Mine goes by percentages. Mine was an electronic download. I didn't buy it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's 43% or so. I'll look. You can't highlight a book either. It sucks.
Yeah,
but I'll tell you what. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get my.
We could search.
That book.
Yeah, I've got the electronic copy. I'm going to search for the words. Hold on.
We could search.
If they had the word print in it, I'll find it real quick. Give me a second.
That's wild. How did I miss that? How did we miss that?
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. So hold on. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying, how did we all miss that? Okay, hold on a second. Broken plea. I got it filed in a folder. I just got to find my electronic copy.
While you guys search, I'll read a few of these things that I found in the book that are like literally stunning, especially if they weren't given on for early discovery for her arguments. You can't have a motion in limine on an item if the item isn't presented to you, right?
Right.
And so
that's
fine. I think I need my glasses. I'm getting old, man. But
yeah, okay.
McCombs. Bathroom on the first floor. You could see images from when they first opened that door. That bathroom was cleaned, and the only thing in that bathroom were shampoo bottles on the tub.
Right.
That wasn't questioned. The cuts at the neck and the shoulders were actually images that were in Dylan's bedroom. So the slices on the 2 girls' throats upstairs and the cuts on their shoulders matched images in Dylan's bedroom.
They were in her. There were. Lana pointed out that Dylan had a like a journal, diary, whatever, and there was drawings in that diary of things like that, as well as like dismembered people with their hands cut off, their feet cut off, bloody, gory looking shit.
Yep.
That was shit Dylan wrote in those things. So you can't ignore that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
And what I said in the chat room that I type really terrible. From the sliding rear door. Now, just let's first establish this. The front of the house is north. Back of the house is south. Kaylee's bedroom is west. Dylan's bedroom and the other young women upstairs is the east.
Right.
Okay. That's geographically how the house is. They found shoe prints leading from the sliding glass door heading to the west and going into a neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
Those footprints were going towards the who's the boy that was the Kaylee's boyfriend? Didn't he live over there? Or didn't
Jack DeCour?
Yeah, live over there.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
And no follow up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did. The bedroom door was partially closed.
I can't find it.
When that kid was called over, Hunter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another contradiction from Dylan. She said the door was wide open, and in fact, it most likely was when she observed it. Or maybe it was the last thing she forgot that she did, which was pull the door closed behind her.
There you go.
Right?
Good point. Mama Bear's in chat.
Here's another weird thing. Who's that? Bailey? Emily? That one girl?
Emma Bailey.
Emma
Bailey. Yeah.
Emma Bailey. Who was it that stalked Kaylee at the store? Wasn't it a black male? A slender
it was.
Man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it him? We don't know.
Thank you for the gift. Red Riding Hood says, Whoever heard of a crime scene house quad murder being sold or donated before trial?
Oh yeah.
Nobody.
Lee, I found it. What
You
he?
fa- you
Thank
found-
you for the
Well,
gift.
I
Shoes
found
matching
the
footprint
matching.
by her room. Did you find it?
It says, yeah. It's talking about Dylan. It says in more than 4 hours of seemingly disparate accounts, Dylan Mortensen never verified or even corroborated details of what she claimed to have witnessed that fateful Sunday morning. Police never asked her about what seemed to be glaring inconsistencies, never sought a deeper understanding of still undisclosed evidence, including a blood-covered jacket, a bracelet found on the floor of the spare downstairs bedroom, and shoes matching a tread pattern found in blood near
Oh,
her.
shit.
Here's something that,
Room.
that if we,
So it
Here's-
is in there.
yeah, I'm pretty good on remembering.
I didn't.
Sometimes I get lost,
I didn't
but
even. Yeah, I didn't even pick
Yep.
that up.
Let's
That was
Me
good.
either.
let's stop there. Let's stop there and focus on this for just a second. I want to show it real quick on screen because
Right.
because it's a one sentence, but it's a big sentence.
Yes,
So
it's
let
one
me show
sentence. It's
that.
big. Yeah.
Let me
You
put
found
Thanks,
it?
here.
Sarge.
Yeah, I found it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
it's funny. This highlight is my
Yes.
original highlight when I read the book. This was my original
Right.
highlight. So I highlighted as well. But this is the part that he's talking about. In the
Right.
it says a bracelet found on the floor, and this is and shoes matching the tread pattern found in blood near the room. It's a half a sentence. It's a half
Man.
sentence.
Yeah.
But,
And it's
but if
important.
you're a careful reader,
Yeah.
it's not talking about the shoe print. It's talking about the shoe.
Right.
Shoe
Yeah.
matching the print.
Right.
was
That's pretty
found.
big.
That is huge. Good catch.
That's gotta
a
be
great
that.
catch.
That has to
The
be
other
that.
thing is that
That's
shoe
their
print
van.
is from somebody exiting the bedroom, not walking past a hallway. The heel of
Well-
the shoe is coming is towards her threshold.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Is
Yeah.
it? She also. Is it the? Is it the Vans or is it the Converse? Because she also Converse.
I think
could
I looked at my Converse and I
Yeah.
looked at my Vans and it looks more like the Vans pattern than
Yeah,
the
Okay.
Converse.
Okay.
But that shoe print is damaging to her, and that fact that it's
Yeah.
an exit from her room with the door fully open.
Yes, sir.
There's no other way to place that shoe there. You wouldn't
I-
stop there at that edge of the door to listen to the door. Your foot would be in the middle if you were putting your ear up against it. If you were naturally leaving that room, you'd walk out of the middle of the door or towards the latch side. Your walk would be closer to the latch, not the
Yeah.
hinge. In order
Yes.
for your foot to get to the hinge, that door had to be fully open. And
Yeah,
you
and it's
stepped
angled.
out of that room.
Right. And the
Yeah,
foot-
because
and
the
footprint
toe-
is like angle. It's like angle too.
Yeah.
And the toe of the shoe, from what I remember, points to the actual door frame right there, dead end at it. So you have to be standing
Right.
like
It points
that.
towards
Agreed.
the main living room, the main living area.
Well, let me throw something at you guys since you're up here too, Sarge. Okay. Moto Man came up with something. I think I explained this theory to you guys because we all know that there was lines that were found on Kaylee's face on around her mouth area that were unidentifiable to this point. And Moto said, just think about this for a minute. And he said, if you look at Dylan's doorway, okay, on the ground, there's a piece of threshold metal, we call it. And it separates her bedroom from the hallway. And the grooves on that are straight, perfect lines. And he goes, just take this for a minute. Bear with me. And I said, okay. And he goes, there's one footprint. Where's the other one? Well, we've always questioned that. So what if Kaylee either fell right there or was thrown down to the floor right there? Her face went down and somebody had a hold of her with their other foot that we don't see on the back of her head or on or something like that and was smashing her face into the ground, which explains to me the lines, the footprint, the teeth being knocked out, and her face being completely disfigured and distorted. And I was like,
They
wow.
said it was done. Listen, you guys know Kaylee was choked to death, not beat and stabbed to death. You do realize that, right?
Yeah.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
Her cause of death was strangulation.
Yeah. Or asphyxiation. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Strangulation, or however they did it. So she didn't die from the knife wounds and the attack with a blunt force object. That came while she was dying or dead
Yeah.
from being asphyxiated, right?
Right.
So those injuries came after.
Really quick, by the way, we have JJ from State of the Deep, who's not in his typical environment. We get JJ in the wild, not just in his in studio. We got him in the wild. So we're going to bring JJ up on the screen real quick. JJ, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, everybody?
Hey,
Can you
Jamie.
guys hear me?
Yeah.
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 I had to go from my phone. I couldn't get it to work from my iPad, so I finally made it down to Denver. It was a daunting ride.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining
Welcome
us.
back, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Meet
Hi,
Sarge,
everybody.
Sergeant Friday, JJ, and Sergeant, meet JJ.
What's up, Sarge?
How you do? You do.
Very well.
Just the facts, man.
So anyway, that
Oh,
idea really struck me like is interesting because if you think about it, it can explain multiple things that happened.
What happened there?
At that point. So
well, I think the
whether
book
it's true or
authors said
not,
you really couldn't see what they're describing when it came to those marks around on the sides.
If you remember, that one of the things that bothers me, speaking about the mouth, the marks around her mouth, Connor had put out a video. It was body cam footage. I can't remember which officer it was, but it was an officer, I believe, talking to Lanier in the kitchen. And most of it was redacted, as typically every fucking thing in this case is.
Right.
And he starts to ask Lanier, I don't know if you heard what's happened or whatever. And he's like, no. And he goes, and he starts to explain it. And of course, they cut it off and redact it. What they didn't cut off was the officer making hand motions. And he makes a motion like this, as if he was a choking motion and slamming somebody up there. And there was, and I said, watch his hand motions as he's describing to Lanier what happened. He's making it look like somebody shoved somebody against the wall with an open hand like this. And I thought that was interesting as well as part of the discussion. Because again, it was all redacted. You don't know what he said, but his hand motions indicate that he was trying to explain something that happened. And I thought
where was that, Leah, again?
Connor had the video. It was a video with Lanier in the kitchen, and I can't remember which officer's body cam it was. They were towards the back door.
Corbin Smith. Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
Corbin Smith. Corbin Smith's if we can pull it up, I'd love to pull it up and show it to you again.
Yeah, I got it. Hold on.
It's a
I
really
got it
good
right here.
He even asks about gunshots. He even asks about a gun at some point during that interview, which was interesting. I don't even subscribe to the gun theory, that, but he was on body cam when he's talked about it a little bit.
Sorry, I got a question for you.
Me?
Because
Sarge.
for Sarge.
Oh,
he
go
said
ahead.
He said that he kind of just came back into the case. Or whatever.
Yeah,
So I don't know if you looked at all of the like the photos that have been dropped and all that stuff, but there's a few people who they're saying that the shoe print, that you're talking about in blood, the Dylan's the shoe print right out, the lane footprint there, that it matches part of the snow outside, that the bottom
the
of
print
it
outside.
Yes. I don't know. I just was wondering if you got a chance to look at that and like what you thought.
The only
about
print I saw outside was a print from a work boot.
Right.
Yeah, the big one.
Well, listen, I don't know that. Look at it. To me, there's so much information that just shows Dylan's prior knowledge. Maybe Dylan didn't swing a weapon, but Dylan having some full conscious idea what was going to happen that night. And everything she's saying is indicative that every lie she tells distances herself from prior knowledge and exactly knowledge as it took place or what was happening. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not, your channels, I don't want anybody responsible. To me, you cannot separate her from this crime.
Yeah.
She's inseparable. It's just not even right.
If you guys would permit me, I did find that video with Corbin Smith and Lanier.
Oh, you got it? Okay. I was pulling it up.
Here's something else too. People should be looking vehemently at any images of any of the people that were in any of the videos and photos for that bracelet on some girl's arm.
Yes. I've got some images. Now that you mentioned it, I've got some images that were sent to me from a Instagram or TikTok account that has a shrine to Koberger and has what somebody says is the same bracelet from the crime scene. They got a picture of the crime scene bracelet that was there photographed and this shrine to Koberger that they say it's the same bracelet. I don't think it's the same bracelet, but I'll show it to you for shits and giggles.
Who built the shrine?
That's unclear who built the shrine. I'll show it to you. It's pretty creepy shit.
That stool still bothers the shit out of me, Lee. I swear to God, that looks like somebody was sitting there keeping guard. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I'm going to put this back on screen. I forgot to share it with sound. I want to have the sound on for this. I'll make sure I share it with sound. All right. So let's see if we can watch a little bit of this clip real quick. Get your opinions of the group here. All right, here we go. And I think there is sound, but I think it must be redacted at this moment. There you go.
So you can tell Chief that. All right. Good. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Okay. Okay. Brett was asking for intel for Chief as to if there was any gunshot wounds involved.
So that's the first part. Again, Brett Payne is asking for information about any gunshot wounds, which I thought was just interesting, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to have a long discussion about the gunshot idea, but watch the hand gestures as it comes up when he asks Lanier if he knows what happened.
He's at the station right now, it sounds like. I don't know how much you heard of all that, but
And then redacted shit, but watch the actions. Look at how he's showing the inside of his hands. He's showing the insides of his hands.
Yeah.
And like shoving somebody up against the wall. And then he made a gun-looking motion too, but
like choking somebody. That would be what I interpret that.
That's exactly it too.
And so I'm going to play it one more time. I just thought it was super interesting because he's like, I don't know if you heard what happened, and then he goes to give some hand motions, like he's explaining to him what happened.
involved. Chief show up. He's at the station right now, it sounds like. I don't know how much you heard of all that, but
I never caught that before.
I mean, look at that.
You know what? I wonder, Lee, if there's something on one of their bodies, because he specifically shows this here with his finger, like this. Okay, if you guys can see it, this part here. I wonder if there's something on one of their necks that makes it look like that.
Well, remember,
you know what I mean?
Dago, remember, Steve Gonzalez in another interview said Steve did a similar hand gesture. Kaylee had ligature marks on her mouth, and he did this. He did this with his hand this. So this guy's the cops pointing to the crux of the hand and that V shape. Steve Gonzalez did this kind of thing. So it makes you wonder how much I don't know.
And if they had gloves on that are maybe tactical gloves or something like that to do this, that would make a lot of damn sense. Yeah, good point. I never caught that before. Holy shit. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
I think that hopefully some of these data drops are information that was never shown to Brian, because then he would have a fair shot at a removing that beef because of new evidence.
Yes.
Ineffective counsel. If his counsel didn't tell him that evidence was there and he made a plea without the knowledge of what kind of evidence that was out there to exculpate him, that would be a problem, I think.
Well, if you listen to what Turvey said and Whitcomb, both of them said that there was a massive amount of
we know that they were shot. A round wound. That would be a bullet that didn't fully penetrate.
Oh.
Where was
you mean the round puncture? We've had it there the whole time.
A round puncture.
We're trying to say he got stabbed with a golf club. One of the kids, right? There's a round puncture in one of these victims.
And Steve said that in the beginning too, that they were like deep gouge puncture wounds. Remember that in the very beginning, Sarge? He said that.
But that could also be a gunshot. You take a low caliber bullet and they don't exit. They bounce that's why you shoot someone on the head with a 22. You don't want it to exit the brain. You want it to ricochet and liquefy the guy's brain. That's why you tap him with a 22 in the head.
But there's nothing showing, and unless they hit it, there's nothing showing in the autopsy about any kind of.
Well, no, there's probably nothing showing. But I mean, like I said, I had a buddy shoot himself in the stomach. It went in the stomach. It hit his rib. It bounced out, hit an organ, and then came right out of his body. It went in and out. Yeah, he was sitting in a boat shooting, trying to shoot fish. Goofball. He lived. But you can't predict which way a bullet's going to go or what's going to be what happens to that. But
depending on the caliber,
puncture wounds, and what better to make a round puncture wound than a round bullet?
And then you got that kid making that statement. If that's true, that went in there with his uncle's ATF coat on, said that they were double tapped. If that's a true statement, I mean, I still don't believe that though. It's hard to believe he got in that house, but it was in one of the reports. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. That's wild. Good catch, Sarge. I didn't even see that. But that is something that Steve said in the beginning, though. He said they weren't like regular stab. They were like puncture, like gag. I swear to God, he said that.
Which
gout.
Sutton described, I think, as exploratory wounds is how she described it.
Yeah.
Right? She said, well, there's evidence of exploratory wounds, and what the fuck does that mean? Like the killer has never killed somebody before, so they're kind of exploring. Like, hey, does a stab work here? Pretty good. All right, but like, what is it? Experimental. What is experimental or exploratory wounds mean in the first place?
Post-mortem experimental, because they weren't. I think that goes along with what Whitcomb was saying with the signature
wound on the arms.
Yeah, that they were different than others. And Tomboy brings up a good point too, because Kaylee had intercranial fractures inside her skull. Okay, so granted, yeah, there's ways it can be done. From my experience with things like this, inside the skull, there were fractures. Like maybe if something was in there bouncing around. That's all I'm saying. I think that's what Tomboy was pointing out. So it could be. I mean, I've never completely discounted that. I'm not a big fan of that whole thing with the gun stuff, just because there's not a whole lot of proof to point it. But those things are interesting. I'll say that much. Extraterrestrial. I don't know that they would have the time to do something like. Well, then again, 8 hours is a long time.
When did we lose JJ? Seems like I just realized JJ has been gone for the whole time. What the hell?
I think he was having a problem and he just fell out.
Yeah, he was on his phone. He said he couldn't get in without it.
Cooperating.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true too, Kim. If it was stomped on, it could cause the intercranial fractures too.
I'm just absolutely stunned that even in Ann's alternative perps, how she couldn't win that argument.
I told you that.
I would like to have been exposed. Did we get any of the hearings from that? Weren't they closed or something?
Well, no. I mean, here's the thing. We just talked about this just the other night, and in fact, maybe we talked about the Custody Queens, which hasn't aired. Of the 4 alternative suspects that Ann Taylor gave, his argument, Hippler's rejection of them came for 2 reasons. One, there's no evidence suggesting that they had anything to do with it. So he's not going to just let her blindly suggest somebody that there's no evidence whatsoever that they were involved. So if she had presented something with the alternative suspects, oh, and by the way, we happen to know he was there that night, that would have been one thing. But he was basically saying, we're not going to let you blindly just name 4 people with no evidence whatsoever that they were there. 2 of the suspects, and this was the part that I laugh about every fucking time he said, I talk about it. Hippler said, 2 of your alternative suspects lived within walking distance of the house. And since we know the killer arrived by car, that makes no sense.
I remember that.
And I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking argument I've ever heard.
Well, the car is a red herring. There's no car in this crime.
Yeah.
The SUV is more likely involved in the crime, but maybe for the cleanup more so than the murders. Okay?
Yeah. Yes. Right? So, I agree.
So why didn't they track the SUV that was clearly described by Dylan? That's the car she witnessed, literally. Right? So that vehicle got left alone. And that's very, very didn't that Eon Harsh also talk about some decked out SUV that he saw that night? Remember?
And I know there's a lot of disagreement. Christopher Wickham made a big deal about the SUV or the dark vehicle that shows up around 4:27 in the morning and comes back again at 6. And I know people have debunked it and said that Christopher's wrong. It's 2 different vehicles or whatever. But he spent a lot of time focused in the interview with us, at least, on, look, it's all about this black vehicle that came after, kind of hinting it was the cleanup crew, that somebody with a backpack got back into the SUV and had just been finished with the cleanup crew kind of thing. And again, I don't talk about it a lot because so many people have said he's wrong. It's not the SUV that he's claiming it is. It's 2 different SUVs or whatever. But for what it's worth, again, the book makes a lot of reference to
what
that.
It's worth, that SUV ended up in the same parking spot it started out with.
Right.
So I don't care who's contradicting the guy in the book. And I'm not a big fan of the book writers or, these people with all these giant resumes of how, look at me, I'm an FBI guy. I don't really buy into that crap. But when you hear people quacking, you got to call them a duck, whether you like it or not. And the car came from a specific location, went and did all this traveling back and forth, and then ended up in that same location. You're telling me there are 2 different vehicles? I don't buy it. I agree with him on that, in other words.
I forgot to tell you, I was going to show you guys that creepy shit that I found about the shrine to Koberger.
Yeah, please.
Let me see if let me get that for you real quick.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Give me just a second. I'll pull it up here.
To me, there was so many. I don't know who the 4 people are, but there were more people. Did she bring Dylan up as a potential suspect? Because you can't eliminate her from the crime scene.
You can't limit the behavior of these two young people. And I said this in the beginning. The only reason you call someone else to find these bodies is to try to distance yourself from them. Period.
Uh-huh.
Right? Remember I said the love triangle in the very beginning? You got these 3 young girls. One came to supposedly be the first. What brought her back? Who knew this girl was coming back? This was targeted to Kaylee. So somebody in her inner circle had to know she was there. And therefore, the inner circle killed her. It couldn't have been some stranger from the outside. There'd be no way that woman would have been targeted like that specifically by some stranger randomly coming in that home to kill people.
I fully agree with that.
Right? So there's so much evidence here to paint a more accurate narrative to the facts that I think she's just a terrible lawyer.
All right, so I'm gonna show you, and I feel horrible because I'll try to do my best to find where the actual source came. This was emailed to me by somebody who said that he found this user's account on, it was Instagram or one of those things like that. And I'm going to show you the pictures. And then if you guys need me to dig further into my email, I'll do that and show you the actual account it came from. But what it didn't come with is any explanation of who posted this stuff. So somebody had all these creepy images like this. Slasher 2, the guilty parties, and it shows the victims. And who is this, by the way, the individual that's on that far right image with the glasses?
No idea.
Right, I don't either. But check this out. So let me skip. Come on, you're gonna let me do this, right? There's another a weird image. Look at this. Watcher in the woods. Got Buddy the dog.
Who the hell is that?
I don't know. Cops probe whether Idaho quadruple murderer observed victims from thicket near the house before striking, as they admit they haven't gotten any leads. Local couples say their adoptable pet dog was filleted by a mystery sicko just weeks before the bloodbath. Now let's continue. Look at this creepy image. Somebody made a thing about it's like from the movie Paranormal or whatever the hell it is. Couple in bed and his Kohberger walking into their bedroom. Dick's out for Idaho. What the fuck? You can't save them. All you can do is watch. That's weird. This movie theater thing, burying the ex. Some relationships just won't die.
Jesus, what is wrong with
the hell?
Right? Check this out. These images were posted. These girls with the pink hoodies, and they got gang shit and love and hate on their fingers. Don't know what the context of this. Now here comes the images from the shrine.
God.
Where's the bracelet?
I'll show you. It's coming up. I'm sorry. So here's the images from. It's a close up of the shrine. We're going to get more pictures, but there's a kind of a baby. I don't know whose name that is across the bottom. Here's a little. I love my boyfriend. It's got Kohberger's picture in it. A little icon thing. Love you forever. Pictures of Kohberger with the little flowers around his head in the background. Brian Kohberger's signature. They made a big deal about this female and the lettering, the signature and what it looks like, the handwriting analysis. I didn't get all that. That's the bracelet they're saying. So
Where?
If you see right where my mouse is moving, this they're saying that's the bracelet. I'll show you the picture. I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
No, it's not even close. Day and night.
Now watch. We'll go back to that in a second. So here's another part of that shrine with the K-bar knife in front of Kohberger's pictures and shit, and that's some crazy shit.
Oh my god!
More stuff from Kohberger. I love you with Brian Kohberger on it and shit like that. But that's supposedly as an image from the crime scene photos. That's the bracelet.
That's the bracelet.
So they're saying that's the same bracelet potentially as that, and I don't believe it is.
No, they don't look the same at all.
In fact, this image, if you could, there's it looks like there's a portrait image that's kind of in
there. There's a ring. There's a disc inside of a ring there. In other words,
so I disagreed with that part. But I thought the shrine was fucking bizarre.
That's beyond bizarre.
Yeah.
I like to see that bracelet. Go back to that bracelet. Although there may be some similarities to it.
There is similarities. There is, for sure. But because it's, you can see the kind of there's that circular shape with the kind of spiky stuff around it. So there's similarities.
Go back to that bracelet again. The other one.
Unfortunately, I don't. Maybe I can zoom in for you.
It connects to the chain differently. It's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's the same.
I don't know, but that bracelet, some girls had to wear that, whether it be one of the girls in the home,
or one of the victims, or one of the attackers,
right, or one of the because that one woman there, the DoorDash doofus there that has all those addiction issues.
Molly.
Extraterrestrial Highway seems to know something about that. This girl used to be in the Idaho Facebook group, Baby Bri Bri.
Well, her seeing a dark-haired woman in the third floor bathroom.
Right.
right? And then you see the hair that's been found at the scene.
Well, you know who has long dark hair?
Emma Bailey.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
man.
I mean, for what it's worth, I don't know what to make of that shrine shit. And again, it came with no explanation of whose shrine it was and whatever. So I don't know.
Just sickos playing, you know?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's probably something you see in any case. There's somebody out there that's fangirling, fanboying over murders, and
Bundy had a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Ramirez too.
I think I got interested once the book came forward. I didn't really pay attention to all the document drops when it came to, again, I didn't want to really say anything unless he files for an appeal, because that's really the only thing here that's what matters,
I said.
Right?
I told everybody the other day that you'd probably pop back up if an appeal got filed, 100%.
Yeah, and I've been seeing a lot of things, and I read that book, and then I listened to Mr. Turvey, and like I said, my connection to him is completely based on the idea that you don't believe. Information is not to be believed; it's to be examined, questioned, talked about, reviewed, researched. Right? If you send it to a lab, get an identification. And if that identification comes back as something you don't want to know, well, it is what it is, right? You're supposed to be finding the truth here.
Right.
So and if your client's the killer, then he's the killer.
Sarge, do you think it's anything strange with the timing, with the book dropping, Turvey doing the interviews and this and that, and the fact that September's the time limit for Brian, from my understanding, for his appeal process? Do you think there's any kind of a connection with the timing?
There is no time limit for it. I don't know why there's, maybe I don't know the law as good as I think I do. But but listen, in any transfer DNA identification case that I've ever seen get overturned, it was because of other unidentified DNA at the crime scene in a location more likely to be part of the crime. Amanda Knox in Italy. You guys remember that case?
Of course, yeah.
Transfer DNA convicted her, but it also got her off. There's so many people that were convicted on transfer DNA. There was a guy that was convicted for murdering his wife because they found his semen. They had sex and he went to work.
Right.
She was murdered. Yeah. He comes home to a dead wife and they arrest and convict him for the murder of his wife. Come to find out there was DNA in places that shouldn't have been. Unless other male DNA on her chest. Yeah. I'm not going to get graphic, but
I get it.
Right? Where did that come from? He admits to having sex with her. It's his wife, for God's sakes.
Right.
And they used his own bodily fluids to convict him of murder. And that got overturned.
I thought the September deadline was because of the
post-conviction relief period.
Post-conviction relief.
Yeah, one form of appeal, though.
I've got it. I've got some things up on. This is great that we're discussing. I've got some stuff up online. I did a search online. I had a discussion with somebody when I said that there was a hint that Hitler had been said something to the effect of, even if Brian Kohberger were to file post-conviction relief, he'll just reject it. And so someone challenged me on that, said Hitler never said that. In fact, he said the opposite. So I did some searching on AI, and they basically agreed, AI. Hitler never said anything like, I'll just reject it. Instead, I'm going to read from the article that came up from AI. Instead, the opposite appears to be true based on multiple reliable reports. Judge Hitler explicitly noted Kohberger could still pursue post-conviction relief, despite the plea deal's waiver of direct appeal rights. Here's the key details. During the July 17th, 2025 hearing, lifting the long-standing gag order, and again referenced around the sentencing, Hitler stated, the fact that a defendant waives a right to appeal doesn't mean they don't have a right to appeal. He cited the U.S. Supreme Court Garza versus Idaho 2019, which also claims like ineffective assistance of counsel even after an appeal waiver in a plea. That was from the Idaho Statesman paper. He also told the court that he would delay unsealing most documents until after sentencing and after the appeal period has run, acknowledging that some form of post-plea challenges could still occur. That was also in the Idaho Statesman.
Right.
At sentencing, he informed Kohberger they had 42 days to file a notice of appeal, though doing so could violate the plea agreement. Legal experts in the coverage explained that while the plea waived direct appeals and in some reporting language certain post-conviction relief appeals, or whatever, I added an extra word there, Idaho and federal law still permit collateral attacks via PCR, post-conviction relief petitions on narrow grounds, ineffective counsel, for example, coercion, prosecutorial misconduct.
Yes.
These were very hard to win, but the judge did not indicate that he would refuse to hear them. He highlighted their legal availability. So,
I know where the statement you're talking about came from. They got confused on it. It wasn't the judge that said it. It was Jesus Christ, Nye.
Yes.
Whatever Nye is the one that made that statement that it would be kicked. It would be sent to his office and they would just kick it back. Is who said that, guys? It wasn't the judge.
Right. And it's funny because I had to do the same backtracking. So I kind of said, Hitler said he's going to reject it. And someone said, no, he didn't. And so I said, well, maybe it was somebody near the case, the prosecution, for example, and said, it doesn't matter. Even if it does, he'll just kick it back.
Yeah.
So you're right. It wasn't Hitler. It was somebody related.
It was
to the
Jeff
case.
Nye. Right. Yeah. I remember that because I was like, wow, what a dick. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you pointed that out because all of those, I did a whole show. It's been a while, but on the appeal thing and everything that you just named, he has the possibility of using prosecutorial misconduct, all of the things ineffective counsel. Yeah, all of those things he has the ability to use because it all happened to him. Every bit of it did. So 100%.
If you follow the case like we did, you'll see that for whatever reason, Ann Taylor seemed to help confirm some of the prosecution's accusations. She accepted the car. She accepted the DNA, and none of those should have been accepted.
I agree.
Her argument should have been, Your Honor, there's no proof a car was used in this crime. As a matter of fact, we've ruled out Koberger's car. So whose white car are they insinuating was part of whose suspect vehicle one? It can't be my client, right?
Yeah.
So she acquiesced to too much data that she should have fought.
I agree with that. Go ahead, Lee. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Well, as I said, the custody queens and I talked about it as well. Ann Taylor stipulated to shit she never should have stipulated to. She's like, I'm just gonna concede it was debris in his hands. Fuck, you never should have. What the hell are you doing? You should never have stipulated that. Oh, we're just gonna stipulate that it was his car. No, you should never fucking stipulate. What was she doing?
At a preliminary hearing, the problem that they would have had for the prosecution trying to show their case to a court would be everything was unverifiable. Now, they can argue the DNA was a verification. However, the DNA was transfer DNA, and it was only verifiable because of your fake application for a warrant. If you didn't put all those lies in that warrant, you wouldn't have gotten the warrant.
Right.
Your opinion, your video, your nonsense, right? So therefore, it's fruit from the poisonous tree. It's got to go. They could not, in my opinion, they could have killed this at the preliminary hearing.
Oh, sure. That's probably why they probably knew that, Sarge, which is why they hurried up and
acquiesced and allowed it to go 6 months.
Secret indictment. Right.
Yep.
So real quick, thank you for my scream name. Love that name. My scream name. $5. Thank you so much for the support. Did you guys see Birdie's car looped? It looks like the same car used several times. So again, to tease a little bit ahead of time for those who want to watch the Custody Queens and I did 2 hours today, and Ron brought that up. Ron was talking about Birdie's showing the looped footage that they used the same footage over and over again and sped it up or slowed it down to make it look like it was different passes, but it was all the same car and the same footage.
Christie's Chaos put that out 4, 5, 6 months ago, and I showed that, and the video is absolutely been manipulated. It's the same footage, and they lined it up and used the same footage, and she proved that it was manipulated. So once again, more fuckery, more bullshit.
And here's the irony. Here's the irony that Ron was suggesting. That they turned over those files that contained that vehicle in it. Could they play some fuckery with Ann Taylor? Hey, we gave you the video. We gave you the discovery. It's in the discovery, not mentioning that they fucked with the discovery and looped it and made it look like something it wasn't. But they're like, hey, you have the files. And again, their argument is it's not our job to find where our mistakes are, where things that's your job. We're not supposed to point out to you where things are. So maybe she did have the footage. They just said, it's your job to find if we fucked with it, which is bullshit. That's illegal for them to do that. But
I agree.
This case would be a perfect case to bring to the Supreme Court on the capacity for discovery.
Yes.
And the way that the prosecution should be mandated with electronic discovery.
Right.
It needs to be collated. It needs to be indexed. And it needs to be processed and served immediately as soon as possible to the defense, because you can't dump 30 terabytes on somebody 2 weeks before a trial and say, well, I gave it to you, right?
There needs to be some kind of new updated law or some kind of legislation that stops that. So, we have this discovery thing, right? That you have to show all discovery evidence, all exculpatory evidence, but you should not be allowed to just, like you're saying, just dump 60 terabytes of shit like 1 week before. Like there's got to be something, and then they kept
Thank you, Lulu. Don't like
violating.
lies for the super chat. I
Yeah.
appreciate you very much.
Yeah,
Whoever
thank you.
lifted that hair is debris.
They kept violating the time. They kept
Not just
violating
violate the time,
right?
but
And there
then
was no
they manipulated and withheld
Right.
exculpatory evidence from this kid the whole time.
right.
And that just should be that's already illegal.
Yeah.
But to describe hair as debris is an intentional misleading
Thank
of
you.
exculpatory evidence. You intentionally misled the defendant and his team by calling that hair in his hand and on Maddie's bed debris.
And that's proved in the document because they have hair listed as hair and then debris. Two separate things. So you can't say, oh, well, it was this and it was that. No, you have hair separate listed there, and then you put hair in as debris. It's obviously intentional, folks. 100% I agree with that.
And I want to point out another thing real quick, just for those who are, we're talking about timelines. So Kohberger it was stated in writing, he had 42 days after the plea deal to change his mind about the plea deal. So everybody waited with bated breath. Is he going to change his mind in 42 days? Then 42 days came and people thought it was over, that he has no more options. The 42 days came and went. But then it came out that there's another ticker, which is you have 1 year after sentencing. And that didn't happen until they're saying September, the actual official sentencing. So you have 1 year to file post-conviction relief. So that ticker is now coming up. On top of that, let's say September does come and go. For those, because I actually think that post-conviction relief is going to be filed before September. I actually think it's going to be. But let's say September comes and he doesn't file post-conviction relief. It's still not the end of the road, because as we've said a million times, if exculpatory evidence ever comes out that proves Brian Kohberger could not have been there, then it doesn't matter what plea deal you got. It doesn't matter how much time's run out on the whole thing. If he couldn't have been there, he couldn't have been there, and the plea deal's off. And that could happen 20 years from now. Hey, by the way, we've just found this video of Brian Kohberger at a gas station during the murders, so he couldn't have been the murderer because he's over here. And that would change things 20 years from now.
I'm relatively sure Cy Ray can show him 20 miles away from that house during the times of what they alleged crime took place.
Yeah.
I think they would have had a better chance if they argued the crime took place closer to 2 or 3 in the morning than between 4 and 4:30.
So
they would have had a better argument if Brian was in that area.
He has a book. He's got a new book coming out. It's more of like a textbook, and he's got a bunch of chapters. It's not all on Idaho 4, but he has a few chapters that make relevance to it, and some of it you can already read. He has a sample, and I mean, we don't have, obviously the whole book is not out yet, so we can't say, but from what they showed, what it sounds like is that the FBI experts or whoever they had that was using this cell phone data is that they purposely, like, certain things that they had, they they're manipulating it to mean a certain thing that it's not supposed to mean. So he may not actually, like, everyone thinks that Cy Ray, I don't know. He's still kind of under a gag order with partial stuff. So he may not, everyone thinks that Cy Ray is going to do an interview eventually and say, oh, BK, I can prove that he's innocent and this and that. That might not be true, but I think what he does have is that they manipulated what the data was, and one of the chapters that he explained.
I don't think manipulated is the right word. When you do an area scan for a phone, that tower, you could be anywhere within the range of that tower, and by saying he was at King Road isn't manipulated. Okay, no, it's not even really lying. You're guessing, right? It's just a guess. Yeah. Your argument as a defense attorney is he was further away than that, and you need to accumulate information to show that he was further away from that particular home. So it's not. I guess manipulating can be used. You could use that term, but it's all a matter of opinion. So it's not like
right. Well, what he said is that he has evidence that in one of the like things that he showed, it's only like a few paragraphs. He basically says that there was further evidence that they got later on as they were doing their investigation that they weren't going back. They weren't testing. They weren't going back. So it's like once they had Kohberger in their eyesight, that was it. It didn't matter. They weren't going to go back.
They got tunnel vision.
They weren't going to show something like, oh, you know what? This new info that we have actually would prove that he didn't do it. So it's crazy.
Well, another thing to remember too is that there's a criminal investigation going on, and anything they pull from that, if they can prove prosecutorial misconduct of any form or whatever, and within this, that'll toss the conviction. Okay, that's done. It's over. They'll roll the case, in my opinion. 100%. If it's what I think it is, I think they of course, they have to show it too, and it has to be brought out. But I think it would toss everything if they can prove what I think. So
what I found was interesting was according to Turvey, the investigation, the person who contacted him on the criminal investigation was Ada County Sheriff's Department. And I thought that itself was interesting. Now we know it wouldn't be Moscow Police Department because they would have to be investigating themselves. Idaho State Police, though, I would have thought would have been maybe the investigative agency. I thought it was weird that it fell to the Ada County Sheriff's Department to do the investigation. Does anybody else have any insight onto why it's Ada County?
Yeah, you don't want you can't investigate your boss, right?
I was going to say I have a guess, right?
Yeah, so
they're not going to leave it in the hands of anybody in Latah County, in my opinion, Lee, at all. Like that's that's
or apparently Idaho State Police. Like Idaho State Police might also be where I'm going with that. I guess is Idaho State Police might actually be part of a potential part of the leak, and so they can't be a part of it. So it would have to be some agency that's not involved with the criminal investigation, which maybe that means that's why Idaho's not doing it and why Ada County Sheriff is.
That makes perfect sense. Moscow and ISP or even Latah County Sheriff. Probably it's believed that they're probably involved. So therefore, in turn, that makes perfect sense to me. I agree with that.
I mean, if you could change time, I wish they would have kept judge and not left that jurisdiction.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I mean, at least he said multiple times to the prosecutor, if you can prove that.
Yeah.
If he's guilty, right? He regardless of what people thought about him, he still was doing a judge's job. And I just want to say this. People may not know what a judge's job is, but the first and foremost thing the judge is supposed to do is to protect your constitutional rights from government overreach.
Yes.
That's the judge's main job there. Yes, he rules on case law, but what is case law? Case law is saying the government went too far, right? The government trampled your rights. The government lied. The government, his job is to ensure that none of that takes place. And that the trial
be impartial.
be fair. And that Judge Hippler was anything but that. He was an advocate for the prosecution, just like he would be, he comes from these big lawsuit cases, this guy. Right?
Yes.
And so, there's a lot of nonsense lawsuits. Like some people think that old woman that got burned by McDonald's coffee, that was a Fugazi lawsuit when it wasn't. That place was cited like 20 times for coffee over 200 degrees.
Right.
By the town itself. And then she spilled it on herself and got burned and sued. But my point is, Hitler's involved with a lot of these lawsuits where a lot of the defendants are making these accusations that are bullshit, Fugazi, and he sides with the with the corporation or with the guy being accused, right?
And this is another reason. What you're saying is another reason why I feel like one of the steps that I would like to see, and I don't know how you would implement it as judicial reform, is we need to stop the practice where most judges are former prosecutors. I would rather see most judges be former defense attorneys, somebody who actually stood on the behalf of making sure that the clients, the defendant's rights were upheld. I would rather have that be the general pool that judges come from than prosecutors, because prosecutors believe everybody's guilty.
It should be, because a judge's job is to ensure that the defendant gets a fair trial. So in turn, you should have that type of attorney in there to see it from that side of things. I mean, truly and honestly.
In my life, I've been involved with criminal activity. And I was accused of a crime long ago. And I went to 3 former prosecutors that had become defense attorneys, and everyone told me to plea bargain the case. But I was innocent. In the law itself, the plain language of the law exonerated me, because the person making the accusations, it didn't comport with what the law stated, right? And I made that point to them, and like, no, son, don't matter. You're still going to be convicted. So I tried the case myself by using a real estate lawyer rented space in a law office that had a law library. And I went into the law library and I brought out cases and I brought out, case law, and I went to court myself and beat the charge.
Nice.
Okay. And so that's the problem with prosecutors. They see everybody as guilty and they always want you to take the easy way out.
Yeah.
Take a plea.
Robin, somebody's asking about your channel name. I guess they're like, Robin's been so quiet.
I just put it in the chat. Thank you very much. I just put it in the chat.
Yeah, this is. Oh, shit, I lost my train of thought again. Damn it, Sarge.
Old age. It happens.
I just like to blame him. I'm glad he's back so I can blame him for it.
You cut off a lot of your antenna on top of your head. You should have left some of that grow in.
I know. It'll come back. I forgot. It was another point I was going to make based on what you said, but I forgot completely what it was. Bless America. What the hell was it? I don't know. I'll move on though, but I think that there's going to be. I think I'm actually behind on it now. I think it's going to happen sooner than I thought. I said June or July. I'm going to say probably by the beginning of June at this point. I think we might see some kind of a blow up on this.
I
really
think he needs to get out from underneath Ann Taylor. I'd be willing to put up many thousands of dollars if his family wanted to hire a separate lawyer. They need to get rid of her.
Yeah,
this guy they call him an incel. He's not an incel, but he doesn't have a lot of exposure to women, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Except his mom. And this woman has taken the role of the motherly position, right? And it seems to me that she played the game with the prosecution to put this kid in prison.
Yeah.
They need him. He needs her gone. She needs to go.
Yeah.
See, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I likewise would do a hell of a lot, anything I could to try to raise funds if there was something we could do. I don't know what we can do because I think Turvey might be right. If Ann Taylor doesn't fall on her sword and say that she did ineffective counsel, or if he doesn't find a way to overturn her as his attorney, it's going nowhere. So as long as that's the biggest part that scared me of Turvey's comment. As long as Ann Taylor's in charge of the ship, this is going nowhere. And so that terrifies me. But if she can be replaced, I'd try to raise funds as well for a proper attorney because I think that he got fucked in that case.
I think we all could chip in on it if that was the case, if it was allowed. But we have to be able to speak to his family first.
Yeah, the key is reaching his parents. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and
like someone said, Ann Taylor's protecting someone said, and I can't remember who it was, maybe it's on the Queen's and I's comment, they believe Ann Taylor is protecting them from talking. Somehow Ann Taylor's convinced the family the best thing that they can do is shut the hell up and not talk to anyone, that I'm the only one you should be talking to. And the family won't talk, Coburg won't talk, Ann Taylor's controlling the narrative 100%. And that's all fine and dandy if she has some secret thing up her sleeve that she's going to pull off in to help her client. But if she's just going to let him rot in prison for the rest of his life and tell the family shut the hell up and let me control the narrative, that's bothersome.
Because what reason do you have to do that other than to sit on this until time runs out and there's nothing he can do?
Listen, I honestly think, and I don't like to like some things you can deduce when you look at evidence. So when you look at the evidence exposed now, you could point at certain people and it's very hard not to accept their involvement in the crime. Right. I mean, and so when you look at this, I agree also with Eddie that not only was this a layup or a setup, but it was done to protect that college because I think the main perpetrators of the crime were fraternity people, not drug dealers, not gangs or Trendy or something like that, but actual fraternity members themselves were the participants in this crime, and that would have destroyed that school. It would have the ramifications.
But what you also have to remember is that some of those kids themselves could have been involved in. They were friends with Emma Bailey.
Oh yeah,
and so there is. I'm sorry, there is some type of a drug component. I'm not saying cartel. I'm not saying maybe super high level. But to my way of thinking, there is some type of a drug angle there.
I think Logan's video, when she pulled that video, it really blew my mind from Caden Young. You remember Caden Young, the kid that overdosed Sarge? It was that Emma Bailey Demetrius Robinson got arrested, charged for murder because of his death from the drugs. Now, when they talked to the kid that where Caden Young died at, they actually did real police work and drilled him until he spit some shit out. And at that point, brought it to the table that there was a lot of drug deals being done from Emma and Demetrius through the fraternities. So in turn, you roll it all up in a ball, it gets everybody involved. Right. Okay. So it does make perfect sense. Along with both sides of it.
And he mentioned, I believe he mentioned that 1119, right? That's that small house.
That's the other house that, like, when Dave came out and he said there's two houses in that neighborhood that was selling nothing right. There you go.
Well, I think you mean 1119 is the one at the end of the house. You're
1119.
Yeah,
1118. Yeah, 1118.
Yeah.
Right.
So it makes that it all flows into play at that point, and it's crazy. Like they
I
just
think that's the house's backyard that those footprints led to.
Correct. Which
Yep.
is also, to be fair, also is the same walkway that one would walk from Jack DeCour's house to 1122 King Road residence off
That's
camera.
right.
If you were
Yep.
going to walk from Jack DeCour's house, you would walk right through that
Where they-
walkways between a fence
Where
and
they were walking the
1118.
dog. Did you
Yep.
catch that video of
Yeah.
them, somebody walking the dog?
Yeah.
The next morning?
Right.
You've seen that, right?
And that's another thing too. There could be another thing too there. I know, like you're talking about the footprints, right? That go towards Jack
Yeah.
DeCour's
Yeah.
house. There could it be that someone who was involved in this or whatever, what happened with Murphy? Did this happen and then someone brought Murphy over to Jack? I mean,
there was some
Right.
strange things with his house. They found blood in his house. They found
Yes.
yeah,
the guys that were going back and forth from the house were giving strange interviews. They were, this one's here at this time, this one's not, blah blah blah. One of them is one of his roommates that lives in that house is the guy that's, hey, what'd you say to Adam? That's him. So who, it's very plausible that there's a large, I'm sorry, there's a large possibility that there is involvement with that side of things too. What I'm trying to say.
Emma Bailey's family. No, the Moyes lived
And
back there. Right?
I think Emma did too. I think Emma.
No.
Emma-
If you go through the back down past the Moyes, there's a stairwell on the back of that hill.
Right.
Walk all the way down the stairwell. It crosses over Walenta, and Bailey's house is right there.
Right, and that again is suspicious. That stairwell, it doesn't
Yes.
it doesn't look right on driving, right? But you could walk a footpath, which would be
Right.
nice and unobscured. You could walk that
It's
footpath.
hidden.
Yeah,
Right.
No
you
camera,
could walk that.
no camera,
There's so
right?
many ways to walk into the back of 1122 King Road resident without
Yeah.
driving.
Nobody
there.
would say-
But
and
of course, if you're Hitler, it couldn't have been somebody on foot because the killer
that's-
drove a car. So
Fuck him. I told you that makes me pisses me off so fucking bad with that bullshit. He said, I told you guys that I don't think the car was involved. I think whoever did this was on foot. They went through that back area. Nobody saw them coming or going, and that's the end of that. I think that car is all.
It's a red herring, just like the knife.
100%. Yes. Absolutely.
another walkway that's not on camera is Taylor Avenue, straight between the White's apartments, right into 1122. That also is not on camera. There's like 3 or 4 different ways to get to 112 King Road residence on foot without ever going past a camera.
Yeah, but Lee, it can't be them because they didn't drive a car.
I know. I'm an idiot. So fair.
I could understand him saying that had there been an image of Koberger in the vehicle or Koberger moving around outside between the house and the vehicle.
Sure.
But for Hitler to make that statement,
that's
I mean, that's just insane.
It was, along with the other statements he made. Absolutely ridiculous. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, how can you be impartial if you've already concluded as a judge that car was involved?
Or how can you be impartial when your statement from the very first part is, well, DNA is DNA every day of the week and twice on Sunday, isn't it? They've got his DNA, so why are we having this trial?
Right, but it isn't DNA when it's someone else's and it's spread all over the house. It's a clump of hair and it's that DNA don't matter. The fact that I think I saw an image of dog prints in Maddie's bedroom.
Right.
Right. Yet how does it, what is this dog? How could it be so perfectly clean and not be interested in an open door with open access to his owner?
Yes.
It's been bled out and beat to death.
Yes.
Tell me that dog wouldn't have gone in there sniffing and even sit up on top of her. Even
absolutely.
If he right.
Absolutely. That's what animals do.
What kind of a dog that people in Idaho have? Are they hateful animals? I don't understand.
I've heard people tell the killers loved animals. That's why they didn't touch Murphy, but I don't know how.
But no, I'm saying the dog themselves would jump up on it. Have you ever seen a dog? There's a dog that was in Japan or some country that his owner died, and every day they would go catch this train, and they would hang out by this train and do something. But this dog stood in that place every day. He would come there. People would feed him. That's where him and his owner hung out all the time. And once the owner died, the dog couldn't take the dog away from that place, right?
They made a movie about it. That was a good movie.
Yeah, man, it was a very touching movie. But I don't know a dog that would not respond
No.
blood itself, anyways. But the fact that two people,
right?
Maddie
That's
and
what I'm
Kaylee,
saying. I think Murphy was taken away from there.
he had
Murphy was brought away.
I also said that if that was Murphy barking when he goes insane at that one point, I also wondered if he was possibly out on that back deck off of Maddie or Kaylee's bedroom. And because if he did, and he was back and forth on that deck trying to get back in, hearing things going on, that window at the end of that deck was in Maddie's bedroom. And if that dog popped up there and looked through that window and saw something going on and he starts going nuts, barking like crazy, it made me wonder. It really made me wonder if that's exactly what they did.
The first spill of blood, the dog would have smelled it.
Yeah. And would go nuts. That's his owner.
Yeah.
I mean, it just made me wonder if that's exactly where they put him for a period of time. But
it's a shame Dylan and Bethany got such an easy pass and nobody questioned anything they did. And that's just, to me, right from the beginning, I had a problem with that. And
it's even worse now, though.
Disturbing thing of all was just because they're cute blondes. Like, who cares, man?
Oh, that is Sarge. That's not JJ.
It seems like, Dylan was kind of following a script. I don't think she's that smart to come up with all this. All this stuff.
I think she was told what to do, but I think
that's
she's
what
a
I'm
little
saying.
smarter than most people think she is. I think that.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Well, if it was Dave and Bob instead of Dylan and Bethany, Dave and Bob would be in prison right now, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, definitely.
Right. They definitely.
How about that one guy that showed up with a
Yeah.
cut in his hand that got that interview? I saw that interview.
Chicken guy. Yeah.
Now listen, so in my opinion, there's no way you could cut the outside of your hand by cutting chicken.
Yeah.
Not if you're using that hand. He's a right-handed dude, Sarge. How did you do that? Tell me.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You're right. I was
50%.
watching the whole video to see what hand was his dominant hand, and it was, in my opinion, his right hand.
It was a chicken patty, mind
Is
you.
that, is that the guy that got cut by Kaylee and her knife that went batshit wild because she fought back?
Could be.
You have to wonder. Yeah.
You know?
It absolutely
Keep in
could
mind,
be.
keep in mind, there are some women who are very good at playing on
Yes.
men's
Yeah.
Thank you.
acting innocent.
Yeah.
So I would agree with Dego that Dylan is probably a little smarter than people give her credit for. I think she's a little craftier.
Exactly
And young girls today are extremely crafty. So keep that in mind.
Yep.
No, I keep it. I look for women like that.
I don't know.
They're usually gold diggers, and I let
She
them
just
dig into their
answers.
thing.
She gives 10 answers to one question. I mean,
Exactly.
And it's all the same confusing answer. I don't remember. I can't recall. I was drunk.
But it's not. But she's useless. It's useless.
It is.
Right.
That's
Her
not.
testimony was garbage. Yeah.
It's not.
That's
That's not
precisely the
crafty to
point.
me. She doesn't even answer the question.
Sure it is. If someone keeps talking in circles around you, you can't pin them down.
Right.
If they keep talking and evading and slipping and whatever, you cannot pin them down. So if she's constantly saying, well, I was pretty drunk, I don't know, I don't remember. I mean, to put her on the stand, she would just keep evading because a lot of people can on the stand say, I don't remember, I don't recall. If memory serves, Payne, looking at you. So I mean,
but they could have. I mean,
it's
later
easy,
on, not initially, but the follow up, they could have nailed her. They have she was on TikTok.
But they weren't going to.
I know, but I'm saying they could have nailed her easily. Initially, they didn't have the phone data, but later on, when they did the follow up interview, she would have been crushed.
Right.
She would have been
Once they had that
crushed.
stuff.
She even added a contact, so she's gonna say,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't remember. I think I added a vampire to
I do want to add. I want to acknowledge this comment from Jake from State Pharmaceuticals. Defensive wounds doesn't mean someone fought back, and I agree. Defensive wounds just means you put your hands up or blocked it like this. That's defensive. It doesn't mean you're fighting per se. So I agree with you. We use the terminology for instinctual flailing of the body to shield from blows. I agree with you. The prefrontal cortex shuts down. The victim is on autopilot. I agree with you. Having said that, so I agree with all of that. You're right. Defensive wounds doesn't necessarily mean a person's fighting in the traditional sense, as in throwing punches or fighting their attacker. It just means they're defending themselves. That's what defensive wounds means. Having said that, I think the coroner Mabbitt did say, and also Turvey said, and he got very emotional when he said it, Xana put up a hell of a fucking fight. And he got emotional when he said it. So I believe he did think that she fought back. It wasn't just defensive on her part, that she was fighting back.
Well, you know, I think that if you look at the order of death, it had to be Maddie Kaylee. And if it's that order, that would explain why Kaylee was grabbed by the throat and choked to death while Maddie was being attacked. I think Kaylee responded. And the respond of the other person, because there wasn't just one person doing this.
No,
someone had to grab her by the neck. And in that struggle, okay, it went forward. So I think that Kaylee, based on the info that they've shared us, I can't imagine she did not attempt to make a defense. And now whether all she got from that was defensive wounds, well, when you're being choked to death,
right,
you're really not trying to punch somebody in the face, right? I mean,
I will say indicators of fighting back are hair being ripped out of people's heads.
There you go.
That's an indication of fighting back.
Well, but defensive wounds can be from fighting back.
Yes.
It's not just warding off.
Yeah,
if somebody comes at me and they're punching me, I'm going to defend myself with a fist, with paws, with whatever it is. So that to me, I'm defending myself. I can retaliate and defend myself.
Hence what happened to Xana. Yeah. That's why Xana's fingers were nearly cut off, because I think of that same
thing. She was defending herself.
Trying to grab and punch and swing and all that. Whoever Xana was being attacked by got the shit kicked out of him, in my opinion. So,
and the DNA under fingernails tell a lot too, because that will usually get
clawing and fighting.
Clawing is defending back. So
I gotta wonder if there were things withheld when it comes to that, by the way, since you brought that up one, because the only things we received on those tests was from Maddie, and it was for people that who the hell was it? Cole Berenberg, Ethan, Maddie herself, I think, were the people that showed up under her nails, which is strange. Okay.
Yes.
And I think Maddie's the one that had the least amount of defensive wounds, in my opinion. Now, where the hell's all the DNA?
Who was under the DNA under her nails again? Can you say that list again quick? I'm sorry to bother you.
I think it was, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Ethan.
I think you're right.
Cole Berenberg, and I think that was it, as far as other than hers.
And Kaylee, I think Kaylee's too,
or maybe Kaylee too. Yeah,
I think Kaylee was also.
I thought they discovered under her fingernails that there was DNA of a non-Caucasian, that they didn't list a nationality.
Native American. It was Native American, I thought.
Yeah,
that was the other. I don't know if they said it was. Did they say it was Native American? They just said non-Caucasian, and people guessed.
Oh, so they had Ethan's DNA under Maddie's nails,
right?
Yeah, but they did.
They said it could have been from a hug or same with Berenberg.
Right. And then, a lot of people argued this was all done in one area, and these people were then brought to their rooms, but the blood kind of defies that.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Right. Unless they were made unconscious. Right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I gave you and then bring you and throw you on your bed and then slice you up.
Right.
So now you bring up a great point. I talked about this with Ron. So Ron Pavarotti had a video. God, this is going to take forever. So Pavarotti had a video in which he was talking about the 2 swipe marks on the door jamb on Maddie and Kaylee's room. And he was pointing out that, Asgut Industries did this video showing about how the killer swiped Maddie and Kaylee's blood on the door jamb. And as Pavarotti said, when he broke it down, and I think he was onto something, one swipe mark does look like somebody who's leaving the room, and the directionality of that swipe looks like you're leaving the room out into the hall. But the other one, the higher swipe mark, it's all Kaylee's blood. It's not Kaylee and Maddie. It's all Kaylee's blood. And the swipe mark looks like it's coming into the room. Now, when I was talking to Ron from the Custody Queens about this, he said, well, I don't think she was attacked anywhere else in the house because she died in the bed. And I said, those two things still can be true. She could have been attacked and even bled somewhere a little bit, but the fatal wound may have happened in the bed. And what Sutton's report said was, when the major bloodletting happened, they never left the bed. But did they did they get attacked in another room, brought up, and then finished off in the bed? And would that still answer the blood maybe started somewhere else, but once they received the fatal wound
downstairs, maybe because Dana or Dylan said she ran down the stairs. She could have been grabbed by somebody, one of the
Right.
perpetrators, and strangled out downstairs and brought upstairs and then just obliviated, right?
Yeah, right.
Which would be
Right.
consistent with an ex-lover.
Yeah. Yes.
It definitely
yes.
would.
Yeah.
Or a disgruntled.
And look, I think
current.
honestly that this all to me points to fraternity boys as the perpetrators and with cooperation with either one or both of the young women that were in that home.
Right. And I think to speculate on that, I would say this. I'm not aligned with the idea that it was a frat fight that went too far. I think what it could be more like is a frat brother who decided he wanted to get revenge on an ex, whatever, had other frat brothers come and help him take care of the problem. And so there's where the frat could be involved, is it could be something like that. It's like somebody in a fraternity who had other brothers in the fraternity who would have his back, then he's going to go take care of something, and other brothers are going to go with him. So I don't necessarily, like I said, I don't necessarily believe in the idea that it was a frat fight that just went too far and turned into a quadruple homicide, as much as it was a frat brother with connections to other frat brothers, had other frat brothers help him out.
And something that I want to point out is that in a lot of cases, guys, and you guys know this, we've talked about this a long time, many times. Usually what truly happened is somewhere in the beginning of the case. It's in there somewhere, the actual truth, okay? In the first, few parts of the beginning of the scenario. And it's interestingly enough, the mayor came forward and said that it was a crime of passion. And then not too long after that, Stacey Chapin comes forward and says this was not, drugs or a love triangle. Those two statements alone makes you wonder about the possibility of that, in my opinion, because it was stated so quickly and so soon in the beginning of the case.
Yes. And
I've always had issues with that. So
I don't want to run wild with speculation, but it seemed to me Kayla Gonzalez, when she was in town for the weekend, was kind of on a mission to hook up with somebody. And so she was trying to hook up with Jack. She was trying to hook up with an ex-boyfriend. She allegedly was trying to hook up with guys at the bar.
But what was she saying at the bar, Lee, along with that, though? She was making it clearly evident she was not with Jack anymore. Remember that?
Correct. Right. But the question becomes, I'm just asking the question, is it possible at some point Kaylee and Ethan, on her quest to hook up, started to hook up with Ethan? And did somebody freak out about Kaylee and Ethan hooking up? And so it could have been that could that have spurred the whole rage, jealousy, kind of thing. You don't know.
I've never thought of that. That's interesting.
The other thing that supports rage and jealousy is the fact that you can't have a 17-minute phone call and not be part of the call. So if I call Diego right now, and he answers the phone, right? He's got to answer the phone and interact with me. If he answers the phone and there's no talk back, I will hang up. You can't. In other words, you can't reasonably explain a 17-minute phone call in the way that kid explained it. I thought it was an alarm.
Right.
Why did Kaylee hang on to the phone for 17 minutes if you hit a button that answered the phone and left it completely quiet?
Absolutely.
And then to add to that,
stayed there for 17 minutes trying to get you to reply back.
Not to mention, add to that, Sarge, that as soon as that 17-minute call, it is Jesse. As soon as that call disconnected, they went crazy trying to call him back nonstop. Back to back.
Right.
Like he hung up on him or something and was like, fuck you, I'm done. Click.
Yes. Dago, that's exactly what I think. That's exactly what I imagine. It's my imagination, but that phone call, that 17-minute was a vicious fight, verbal fight between Kaylee and Jack, and he was like, "Fuck you, bitch," blah 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 blah, and that's how that conversation ended. And then they immediately they were trying to call him back. No, calm down, and then game was on. It was fucking on at that point.
That's exactly what that looks like to me too. I fully agree with that. And he even said, "It's weird that Maddie called me. She never calls me." They were both calling him nonstop like that. It was crazy.
And he lied. The big bombshell we got from the Broken Plea book is that Jack is actually the one that called, not Kate.
Yeah, it wasn't the other way around.
We always thought it was the other way around. That Kayla
that 17-minute call was instituted by him.
Yes, he initiated by Jack.
He called. He called her. So his whole interview where he's like, I was sleeping and maybe I hit the button. He's the one that called her. So he randomly pressed the button in his sleep.
No bullshit. And then if you think about what he did, him calling her for 17 minutes, and you still go back to what did you say to Adam, Maddie? I told him everything. And Kaylee was massive, like insanely texting that whole walk, standing at the whole time. She's on her phone nonstop. It makes you really wonder, did Adam go back to his roommate and say, yo, Kaylee said this or did that? And Jack's like, really? And then calls her, like, what the fuck? And this and that.
And it was a FaceTime, too. And it wasn't just a call. It was a FaceTime call.
I suspect that whatever she did happened before Kaylee was brought back to Idaho.
Probably.
Whatever happened before Katie left. But Kaylee left. And whatever happened prior to her leaving.
That's probably why she left, Sarge.
Or those wheels were in motion in some way. And then that Dylan got her to come back, and they didn't even really go to that party, right or wrong. Right. And then when you look at the wounds and the way the two women were staged, I'm telling you, I think the love triangle is Dylan, Kaylee, and Maddie.
And it's a good question. I think though, to go with your thought about the wheels were in motion beforehand. Yes, Kaylee had left. I think she had only been not staying there for a couple of weeks. It coincides with one of the early statements that her and Jack DeCour had just broken up a couple of weeks prior. Now, what's funny is there's been a shift in the narrative where people say, "Oh, they broke up like a month ago," and I think that's part of the reshaping of the narrative because people don't like to put the time frame together. That when Kaylee left the house was after she broke up with him, because I wonder she didn't feel safe staying there anymore. And she only came back because she was going to be leaving. And it was like her last hurrah. And so against maybe her better judgment, she decided to come back for the weekend and hang out with friends and maybe cost her life. But did she leave in the first place? Because she wasn't comfortable staying there.
You're right. And it's a good thing you bring up, because I know one of the Dago, maybe I know one of the recent interviews that came out where they were, because they're asked about the breakup and everything. Jack wasn't letting it go. Like he was still like trying to get her, bring her coffee.
He was having emotional issues and freaking out.
He was bringing her coffee and all this stuff, and she was saying,
how many conversations did they have once she left? How many phone calls were interacted between these two young people, Kaylee and her ex, after she left Idaho?
Oh, that's a good point. Right? Good question.
How much cajoling did he try to put in? How much comfort did he give her to let her know things were going to be okay? I'm all right with this.
Yeah, and then not to mention, Sarge, she was supposed to leave there. And then she was going to end up moving to Texas, and that was going to be it. Correct. And it's almost like it makes you wonder if it was you're not leaving me, and if I can't have you, nobody's going to have you scenario. You know what I mean? And she was kind of making her rounds for a little while, dating different people, so on and so forth. And if he wasn't getting over that, and he's there, and all these people are saying, hey, your girl was dating this guy. Hey, I saw your girl with this guy. Hey, I saw your girl with this dude. That's snap, okay? Like, that's enough to make somebody snap if they have a conversation about that. Like, why am I getting all these people telling me you're seeing this guy, that guy, this guy, and that guy? You're making me look bad, blah, 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 blah. Fuck this. I'm sick of this. Click.
And I don't know why people think that Jack hanging around Kaylee meant that everything was okay with them. Do people not understand that sometimes, like if Kaylee was done with the relationship, Jack might have thought his best play was to play the understanding boyfriend who's going to hang around in the wings for when she finally comes to her senses and takes him back, kind of thing. So it would be in his best interest to kind of hang around, be nice, play the game that everything's fine with him, so that he could be there to show her what a kind, understanding boyfriend he is and how she should take him back, kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily mean he's handling it well. So,
and I think it's kind of interesting how when Jack walks up the hill, Dylan runs up to him and puts on that whole performance. Yes. I did this and that, blah, 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 blah. And they didn't even know each other. Okay. But that was really interesting. That whole performance, the way she was acting, he just stood there and stared at her. I'm telling you.
I've always thought it was super interesting that they put Jack in the back of a police car the entire time.
Yeah.
All the other kids sit there and get their stories together, sitting there huddled together, not being separated. But Jack DeCour ends up in the back of a police car the entire time. I thought that was weird as well. But
I want to say something else too, Dago. My first apology was to I forget who I apologize, but I do want to also Eddie. But here's someone else that needs an apology from me. Okay. And it's WMU or whatever, Kim.
Oh, WSU mom.
And here's why she needs the apology. Is that their one interview, the guy was aware of something happening at 9 or 10 in the morning. Right? I don't remember who the interview is, but I got the understanding from the interview. He actually went to the house.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if in fact that information was released from that house through probably one of the two girls to an outsider, I could see then other people getting that information. Now, as to the exact nature of what was shared, nobody knows.
Right.
But the fact that she would never disclose anything to show that her argument was true was why I had issue with her. Because it's one thing, I just don't like information without fact. If there's no fact, it's kind of a
right. No, I know.
Effed up. You know what I mean?
She was just scared. That's why she was afraid. She was afraid for her daughter and the kids that she knew that went there. And if she released how she knew, that it would come back on them possibly. But it's all proven. Most of it's proven to be true now at this point. So
yeah. So I was very harsh on her because she was making. It was like that one woman, that crazy woman Dot, making arguments
that's a true story.
Fact that they couldn't support with a document.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say that did Dylan have anything to do with it? But then when you start looking at the evidence they've released, you look at the time delay, you look at her interviews.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that couldn't be true.
Right. No, 100%. She said that as early as possibly 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
Dave said the same thing.
10 o'clock.
Right.
So, I'm just trying to be fair with that because they're very harsh. When you're going to make a statement of fact, then you can't support it. I don't want to hear it.
Oh, I know. Believe me, but I've apologized to her a couple of times because a lot of people were rough on her, but she's been back on the panel since, and she was good about it. So,
yeah, and Don Caps, I don't want to be dismissive of what you're saying. I do want to say that we usually wrap up in 2 hours, and we're at 2 hours and 15. But yeah, the Halloween party, the Thing 42 kind of thing, the humiliation of Dylan, that also. Yeah. In my opinion, can lead into the reason why she would be willing to lure Kaylee back. Because and again, I'm not 100% sold on anything. To be fair, anything. Right. So I'm not 100% sold that Dylan lured Kaylee back, knowing exactly what was going to happen. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. But maybe Dylan just didn't really like Kaylee and knew that something bad was going to happen, but maybe not to the extent. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, it could be something like that where she had a beef still against Kaylee, and
we're all too timid to say what actually some of these facts point to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the just because they point there doesn't make these two girls guilty of anything.
Right.
But you have to also ask yourself, how many coincidences do you have to accept before you start to look at it differently?
Right? Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, it gets to be outrageous. You heard nothing. How could you hear nothing? The dog heard something. He barked for 50 minutes. What was the dog responding to?
Right.
We can't use the same exact facts, but any kind of this.
No.
The things that we're saying that make these girls look guilty, if those were the kind of things you were saying about Koberger, everybody would be convinced they're 100% true. They wouldn't even be questioning it. But because you put it on Bethany, how dare you? These are victims, and how dare you shame? If we were saying anything, even remotely, like, hey, look, he took a selfie with his thumbs up, he must be guilty. Like the asinine level of we'll accept it if it's Brian Koberger, but nobody else can be. Everybody else is above reproach when it comes to sketchy shit. It's blinders.
That's a joke, and everything that was talked about back then, Sarge, has come to the table at this point. Back in the day, I was just saying this on my show earlier. We were told in the very first week, that they didn't hear anything. The roommates were sound asleep. They heard nothing. They had no idea what happened. And look where we're at now. Dylan come as far as to say, you hear everything in this house. They heard it all. They knew it all.
I only got involved with the Koberger case because I was a political guy for years.
Right.
And I got involved with this case because of that PCA. I really don't want to see anybody arrested because a cop tells you it's known that criminals turn their phone off or leave their phone home prior to a crime to avoid identification. Well, that's true. But you're talking about a PhD student assistant teacher at a college, not a criminal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How do you paint that brush across? That'd be like me painting Robin. Why you were a criminal, Robin? You turned off your phone. That's what criminals do, Robin. See, information like that to me shouldn't be allowed in an affidavit for an arrest warrant.
Agreed.
Right.
That's not evidence of anything. That's your opinion. If I wanted your opinion, I'd ask for
it. Right.
Amen to that one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you guys go. I really appreciate you bringing me up here.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to the show.
Yeah, great
for
stuff.
another rip with the car and see if I can't find a couple of rice burners to eat alive.
You need to join me on my panel on my show too again, Sarge. It's getting to be that time again. Everybody's missed you, so make sure you try to do that once or twice here at least, okay?
All right. Well, I appreciate you letting me come on both of these channels. Nice to meet you, Robin. How do you say your name? 1-1. Okay. And Mr. Advocate, Lee.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. It's been great. You were the star of the show tonight. You gave us tons to discuss. So it was great meeting you and great having you on the show.
Thank you for letting me up here. So everyone have a good weekend here.
All right, Sarge. Take care, brother.
All right, on that lines, let's go ahead and wrap up for the evening. That was a good show. It was lots of discussion. Loved that. It was great. I started the show thinking, I'm not sure I have anything to talk about. And then boom, somebody comes on and we have a million things to talk about.
Well, I knew if he came up, it was on. So
we always have stuff. We always find a way.
Sarge is a good dude. He's got he's a little wild out on the around the edges and all that, but he's got a good brain for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on the panel. We'll see most of us, I think, hopefully tomorrow night. I think you might be off, Dago, but you're always welcome, of course, on a Saturday as well.
Thank you.
So we'll see you tomorrow night. I'm going to go ahead and hang it up. I'm going to try to do another video possibly tonight recorded for my alt channel. So if you haven't checked that out, check out the Devil's Advocates Beyond if you kind of like some of the fringe stuff that I avoid on this show. Other than that, have a great evening, everybody. Take it easy. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, guys.